From the Smith Radio studios, it's Carrie and Brian Smith. This is Smith Radio. You can tweet at Smith Radio, SMYTH Radio. And now, your hosts, Carrie and Brian Smith.
Yes, that thing up and running.
I think so.
Okay. One last little bit of show prep.
Oh, wait, I got to get my last bit of show prep. Here we go.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Smith Radio. Your host, Brian Smith, and
Carrie Smith.
And we are Military Veteran Talk Radio. We come to you live every Sunday evening, 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you follow us on Twitter, at Brian P. Smith, right under me, right under my picture on Periscope. And Carrie is at SMYTH Radio, right underneath him on Periscope. And if you're listening to the audio, you may be listening to us on iHeartRadio. You can find us on iHeartRadio by typing in Smith Space Radio. Or
when you search it, right?
Yeah, when you search it. Or if you're on your computer, you can go to iHeart.smithradio.com, a little quick short link. And smithradio.com has a lot of great information on it as well. Today we have a very, very special guest on Twitter, Jack Murphy. If you saw the banner at the beginning of the show, Jack Murphy is a political commentator. If you go onto his Twitter page, he's at Real Jack, not like Jack Dorsey of Twitter at Jack.
Yeah, he's not just Jack; he's the real Jack.
Yeah,
I love that.
At Real Jack, and he's trying. If you go to his page, it says "Trying to Enlighten the Sheep." Co-founder of at Great American Era, contributor at ilovemyfreedom.org.
There you go. Which is also the what was the name of that? It's at ILMFORG is the name of it. If you want to follow that on Twitter. So
when I saw that for the first time, I was like,
I love my freedom.
LMFO.
No, right. He just it went straight acronym on there. So.
No, it's all good. So, folks, we got an incredible show today. We're going to be talking about a lot of different things. Donald Trump announces his 2020 run. Don't be shocked. Don't be surprised. We all knew it was going to happen. However, what does that mean? The earliest a president has ever announced his run for re-election. Donald Trump did it this week, and there's some reasons behind why he did that, and we're going to talk about that, as well as SethRich. There's some new information about SethRich. If you don't know who SethRich is, they haven't been listening to Smith Radio very long. SethRich was the IT guy for the DNC, and then was hired on by Hillary Clinton campaign, and
mysteriously ended up dead in a botched robbery, is what the official story was, and a lot of inconsistencies on that story, and we will be talking about that today.
And if you follow Bill Still on YouTube, he did an incredible behind-the-snes look of what may or may not have happened, and a lot of unanswered questions. But I believe we'll have Jack Murphy on, and I believe he's got some information that he wants to talk about that.
Awesome.
As well as the new Russian collusion. Did you know there's a Russian collusion going on?
Collusion of what?
I don't know, man. Just collusion.
I think you just summed it up right there.
No, there's some new information out. And for those of you, Lou Dobbs, listen, Lou Dobbs. I tweeted out at Lou Dobbs because Lou Dobbs said, fire Jeff Sessions. Lou, buddy, Lou, I'm your man. I love you, Lou. I don't love that. Can't do that. We're going to talk about why Jeff Sessions should not be fired and what is Jeff Sessions doing. He's doing a lot behind the scenes. You just didn't know.
Interesting. I can't wait to hear that because there's all kinds of mixed messages in the news in the past 48 hours about Sessions. I mean, there's people that are saying that Trump is throwing Sessions under the bus and all that kind of stuff. So it'll be interesting to hear about that.
Yes, definitely.
For
sure. We've got some more information that came out this week about the Florida shooting. I'm not going to go Florida shooting on you folks. We've talked and beat up the Second Amendment all day and all night. If you follow us, like I said, if you follow us on Twitter, you'll see that we scope throughout the week. And I know you've talked about the Second Amendment. I've talked about the Second Amendment, and we're about Second Amendment out. But we'll round up some new information that came out about that. And I believe we have Jack on the line as we're speaking right now. Jack Murphy at Real Jack on Twitter. Jack, can you hear us?
Yeah, how's it going?
Fantastic, Jack. Fantastic. Thank you for being on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Well, as we said earlier, this is Jack Murphy. He is a political commentator, and he is the co-founder of Great America Era, which you can find on Twitter at Great America Era, and also contributor at ILMF.org, that is the actual the handle on Twitter. You can go and check that out as well. So how's it going? You got any info for us about the new revelations this week about the SethRich case?
Yeah, I think I wrote an article on it.
Okay.
And I'm trying to get used to this echo in my ear here.
Ooh, you got an echo? Oh, gosh.
So what I see is it's back. I honestly tweeted it in December, and I said I can see the SethRich case coming back into play here soon. And I thought it would be January, but it turned out that it was this week. I mean, I don't know what you guys have covered so far, but there's so many.
Yeah, we wanted to hear some of the details that you got on it. So basically, just to get everybody caught up to speed, here's a guy who was just an IT guy for the DNC, so he had access to a lot of things behind the scenes that nobody else would know about because everything is stored on computers, right? Like everything.
Right.
You got your emails from your entire organization. Imagine being an IT professional for some company, and like you have not just all the contact information for everybody, but also everything that they wrote, everything they received, all this in the back office, I guess.
When you can't get into your email because your password doesn't work, you call SethRich and he works miracles
right
on the background.
He's the computer guy, right? And so then he got hired on by Hillary, and all of a sudden we had he ended up getting killed, unfortunately, in what they called a botched robbery, which very, very questionable facts surrounding that whole situation. But then he went we found out, I guess shortly after that, there was this huge dump on WikiLeaks from the DNC, which was called the DNC leaks, which caused the entire presidential race to go upside down, basically.
Right.
And, of course, it was blamed on Russian collusion, Russian hacking, and all this kind of stuff. And we've said for a long time that it's definitely a DNC insider. And I just thought it was just too convenient to say, well, it was SethRich, because that would just seem very, very strange to me. And now we're finding out from some reporting this week that it may have actually been his. So is there any, what kind of new revelations can we add to that, Jack?
Well, I think it's pretty true that it was SethRich because of Julian Assange, basically alluding at the fact that it was SethRich when he went on a television show and said people take big risks, and unfortunately someone got killed a month ago, which was in last August or something. And then this week you have revelations that his parents actually knew what he did. And I think the craziest thing of all this that nobody's going to talk about is the fact that John Podesta in his emails talks about making an example of the suspected leaker, whether or not they have any real basis for it. And you see all these coincidences coming up with the Clintons, and you just start to wonder how many of these are actually coincidences when it seems to happen every month or something new.
Do people call you a conspiracy theorist over this? Because that seems like what ends up happening.
It's funny because out of all the conspiracy theories, I don't really follow conspiracy theories, but this is the one that it's kind of hard to call it a conspiracy theory when the Democrats are shooting it down as Russia was the one who leaked the emails, when in reality you have all these people admitting that it was SethRich who had the payments from Julian Assange, which is something that's not getting reported much, and his parents admitting it. So
what?
I'm going to be honest with you, Jack. I didn't know about that. I
Yes.
did not know that there was a payment from Julian Assange to SethRich. That I didn't know about that.
I'm hearing from sources that I can't really talk about that there was payments, and Aaron Rich's brother has something to do with it. I'm not sure on the logistics of all that, but
how does Kim.com fit into all of this? Because he was trying to make it sound like if he could come to America, he could prove to the FBI or somebody or whoever would listen to him.
He was initially trying to contact Mueller and Mueller's investigation as if Mueller would give him a seat. I don't know. It's Kim.com. I don't know. I don't know.
Do you have any information?
I think he was the one that broke the story on it this week, wasn't he?
Well, he's been saying for a long time that he could prove it, and then everybody was saying that it was just a publicity stunt, or it was a stunt to try to get some sort of safe passage to the U.S. or to get everything dropped that they're trying to throw at him criminally and all this kind of stuff for, I guess, his involvement with his original. He has some sort of business that he made where it involved a lot of pirating of movies and whatnot, and I think they were going after him for that. And it had since been closed down, and I think that to this day he's worried about being arrested immediately if he were to show his face anywhere in America, and I think he's just trying to get safe passage. But it sounds to me like, based on all the other facts that are arising from the SethRich case, that at the very least, he's right about SethRich. Whether or not he has actual proof, I just thought that maybe you would have information on that.
Well, I don't know if you guys saw, like, Kim.com tweeted earlier last week something about a U.S. Navy admiral talking about how the intelligence community acts like this is a well-known cover-up. So wherever you want to take that for what it's worth, but.
Now, where is your article located where people can find it?
I wrote 2 of them this week on ilovemyfreedom.org.
Okay.
So I wrote one following his parents talking about talking about SethRich being a leaker, and then I wrote another one just kind of filling in on all the details surrounding the murder.
Now, I talked to somebody who's in the intel community that I won't name him because I don't know if he necessarily told me I could tell everybody that he told me this, but he said that he thinks that it's possible that the SethRich murder really was possibly a botched robbery if you take into consideration the location, the time of the day, the fact that it was like, the middle of the night, and it was in a much rougher neighborhood than people would report on. Do you think that was a little premature to come to that conclusion?
Well, I think it's interesting that there hasn't been a real investigation. Look at the details. Perhaps they're telling them to stand down on it.
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys did you see the report on the FBI agent's car in D.C. that got robbed the night of the murder?
Oh my gosh, I did not hear that either. That's
so
what happened with that?
There's a report that some FBI agent had some guns stolen from his car the same night, and then the timeline kept changing on it. The D.C. police would say it was at one time, and the FBI said it was at another time. So that's another questionable thing inside of there.
I saw Bill Still report this week. He started talking about how SethRich was still alive in the ambulance drive on the way over to the hospital.
I've seen a lot of that too.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what to believe on that.
No, I'm not quite either. Cell phone records as well. Obviously, all this information that he had on him is not open, nowhere to be found. There's just so many questions that are unanswered that we know, if answered, we know would lead directly to Hillary Clinton, and that's why it's not being answered.
The real question is, why isn't Mueller talking to Assange? Why isn't he trying to figure out where he got the emails from if it was apparently Russia?
Well, because Mueller could stay on the Russian narrative. I think Mueller has definitely got the Clintons back.
Exactly.
Right.
So what do you make of the Russian collusion? Because we had a show that came out in December of 2016. We were probably the first ones to come to a conclusion on the Russia collusion conspiracy theory that the left has put out there, starting with the Washington Post and all them. And where are we on that in relation to Seth, or just overall? What can you say about that?
Overall, I think Russia definitely wants to have an impact on the elections. If you look at, it seems like Putin's main objective is to create political division, and the Democrats and the media are doing a really good job of that. And then it's clear that they are trying to get involved, but where's the evidence that they had anything to do with Trump's campaign?
Right, as if they helped him or something, or even the fact that they're even trying to show that there's an attempt by anybody in the Trump campaign to reach out and get help from Russia seems extremely thin, very, very thin allegations there. The evidence that they're coming up with is it's almost as if they have made the accusation and now they got to run out and try to find proof of it, and it's just not even close. At least, I mean, and maybe I'm biased, but I mean, if I felt that our sitting president, regardless of what he's trying to do or what his ideology is or how much I like him, was somebody that would never have been able to become president if it were not for one of America's enemies doing everything that they could to get him there, I think I would be pretty upset about that and oppose it. But I don't see that at all. I think it's just made up as far as I'm concerned.
It's funny because they try to blame the Facebook ads supporting Trump, but when they spent $100,000 on Facebook ads, and you have Hillary Clinton's campaign who has a budget of over $1 billion, regardless of who they try to put their ads out for, the fact that Hillary lost with that kind of money is it just proves the point that Russia has no influence.
Did you say $2 billion budget?
Well, I know hers is over $1 billion.
So let's just say it was $1 billion. I'm kind of quick with math here. If the Russians spent $100,000 to her $1 billion, that's $1 for every $10,000 that the Hillary Clinton spent. So $1 for every $10,000. You're right. I don't see the impact there. And by the way, is it true or not? It seemed to me when these latest revelations came out about their actual meddling in the election, it sounded to me like almost 50% of their efforts were also
for
Bernie or the left, I should say, like they were organizing rallies for it. It seemed like they were trying to do equal parts on both sides just to sow discord. So it seems a little bit like fake news for them to point out that it was all one-sided. The reason it was one-sided is because they wanted Trump to win. Well, I didn't hear that. It sounded like Rosenstein said that it was equal parts both sides. But maybe I'm wrong about that.
No, I think you're right. Like I said a little bit ago, it's all about creating division, and the whole narrative is just Putin sitting there laughing.
Right. No, I agree 100%. Something that we had talked about the whole, just real quick, about SethRich is that we believe that he found out that Hillary Clinton was garnering votes and then transferring them to the polling place where the DNC had a poll set up. Hillary Clinton had a poll set up, and they would combine the votes and then out the Bernie votes. And SethRich had stumbled across that, got into a heated battle with Donna Brazier, and then the rest is history.
I mean, it's an unreported fact that SethRich was the DNC director of new voter registration. You don't see anybody talking about that.
That's why that story makes sense. Absolutely. That's why it makes sense. And this is what I had been told, is that he was that Hillary Clinton, through her website, if you wanted to find out your polling place, you click find out my polling place, and it would send you to Street A. But if you went over to the DNC website and you said, where's my polling place, it would send you to Street B. And then Hillary Clinton's camp at Street A would move, at the end of the day, go over to Street B, work some magic, and all of a sudden you got all these Hillary votes.
So there was actual voter fraud, basically. And the thing is I don't even think it's illegal, because they were doing it on behalf of the nominating process for the DNC. So I don't even know, does that even fall under any laws that would be like your voter fraud? It seems to me that it's like the Wild Wild West during the primary.
Well, I mean, I think it's funny how they try to say that there's absolutely no voter fraud and people can't get away with it when you have an investigation like Project Veritas who will go send someone in to pretend to be Huma Abedin and was able to vote as Huma Abedin.
And they didn't even care.
And yeah, exactly.
Wow, I forgot about that one too. But that just illustrates that they'll take a vote for whatever. Now they might not have pointed out the fact that would have been a provisionary ballot that would be subject to further scrutiny. But we know how the Democrats work. Their scrutiny would be nothing.
Right.
They would just let it go and say, "Oh, that's good enough. That probably counts." And that would be it. That would be a double vote for Huma Abedin, and possibly in a different precinct or whatnot, and they would just let it go. It's really scary the way this stuff's counted up. So,
well, and not to throw conspiracy theory out against one, out against another, but when you look at the body count behind the Clinton campaign, behind the Clinton crime syndicate, you don't have to go very far. You don't have to look very hard. Klaus Eberwein, he was the Haitian government official, if you remember that, back in 2017. He was coming to testify against Hillary Clinton. Yeah, he wound up dead. He wound up dead in America in his hotel room waiting to testify. And then you had, what was the other guy? Oh, the UN Assembly General, John Ash, former UN General Assembly President. He was coming over here to America as well to testify, along with there's a very high-powered Asian man that would raise money for the Clintons. But anyway, so this John Ash was coming to America to testify against that, and they said he accidentally had a weightlifting accident.
Oh, the guy that had his throat crushed or whatever?
Yeah.
Very suspicious.
I mean, if you go to and I go to this website, it's called whatreallyhappened.com. If you go there, it's just one after another. I think it's in the hundreds, and it's just all about people connected to the Clintons one way or another. Some are just coincidental. Some aren't. Some seem to be real. Most of them seem to be really real. So when you put that into play, I don't put it past the Clintons to do this to Seth Rich.
Well, real quick,
That's
Jack.
funny that you talk about that because when we were leading up to the election, I was tweeting. I did like a 25-day spree of 25 coincidental killings that happened within the Clintons' circle of people.
Wow.
And there's just so much. There's so much on that.
Is there
any research?
Is there one that sticks out in your mind, except for Vince Foster?
Well, there's like 55 of them in that one list.
Wow.
It's stupid. And I even put this to our listeners, folks. Listen, if somebody can tell me, just a random citizen out there that you may know of, or maybe you yourself, you have a dozen people that have died, none of them by natural causes. 12 people that have died around you, connected to you in some way, fashion, or form, not of natural causes. Call me. Let me know. Email me, brian@smith.radio.com.
An unbelievable coincidence. I don't know anybody that has that many deaths that are somehow very closely connected, I would say. Well, the thing about, we had Gary Byrne on, Secret Service agent, and he said that the weapon used in the Vince Foster suicide was not operational when they went to go test it for forensics. I'm sure you know about that one. And that was eyebrow-raising, to say the least. Now, one question I had that I thought was really important, is there going to be a resolution to the Seth Rich thing, or is this just going to go on like JFK, where the conspiracy theories live on forever and nobody's ever held accountable for it, nobody's ever charged? Is that how this is going to end up?
Do you guys follow Matt Couch on Twitter?
Yeah.
He's probably the only person I know who's been actively all in on this. And he's a genuinely great person when you get to know him. So if you aren't following that real Matt Couch, he's really deep into the Seth Rich stuff. He knows more than anybody I know.
Wow.
And does he say that, I don't know if you had a chance to see if he has, does he think anything's going to come of this? Because it's disturbing to think that there's such a it seems like there's foul play here by the Hillary campaign, or possibly maybe ordered by Hillary herself or one of her high-level inner circle, and yet I don't know. I mean, I don't know if anything's ever going to come of this. It's really kind of scary that something like this could happen. And I didn't know if Matt Couch maybe had a conclusion or not. I noticed on some of the articles on the ilovemyfreedom.org website, there are a lot of Matt Couch tweets that are posted on here. Like one, he says, SethRich was a data director for the new voter registration for Democrats, not a staffer, as the mainstream media will try to tell you. And SethRich started off his career working for polling firm Greenberg Quinlan Rosner, where he would meet Andrew Terrell and would be groomed by Terrell, who would later recruit Seth to DNC and help him get a job there. So, yeah, he has a lot of facts here that a lot of people might not know. And by using those facts, this is Matt Couch I'm reading from. This is real Matt Couch. There must be a fake Matt Couch out there.
No, there is a Matt Couch out there with about 300 followers.
Oh, okay.
This is at real Matt Couch.
Yeah, so apparently he has a lot of these little facts that, you could put together, exactly how something like this could go down, and you get a better picture overall, like a wide-angle picture of what kind of life that SethRich was leading, and that ended up, leading to one day being out in some questionable neighborhood in the middle of the night on his phone and end up shot, and then 24 hours later end up deceased, which is kind of scary. But do you think the Russian collusion debacle is going to come to a conclusion?
I don't think so.
Oh,
do you think that's going to drag on to 2020?
I definitely think they will, and they're going to have nothing for it, but that's all they have right now.
It's gonna.
It sounds really bad to say, but I really think they're happy this gun thing happened, because it's given them something to cling on to and get new life.
Dana Loesch at the CPAC gave an incredible speech, and she railed against the media.
Yeah, that was insane.
Oh, she told the media, she said, I'm going to say something right now. I'm going to say something right now. It might make people back there to back upset, but you love the murder of children, of white women. And the reason why I say white women is because there's black women losing children by the tune of hundreds every day in Chicago. And
mainstream media doesn't care.
No, there's no CNN town hall on that one.
Right.
Yeah, she called it ratings gold, if I remember.
Yes.
Really.
Yes.
Well, I hope there's a way that this can be turned around, at least. If they're not going to conclude it because they figure, well, this is our ticket to sow doubt in the electorate as to whether or not we have a legitimate president or not, and that may cause people to want to right the wrong that was created by Russia installing our president and go out there and vote for whoever except for Donald Trump in 2020 is what I think that they're trying to do. So the big thing for us, I guess, is to reverse the narrative to make everybody realize that this is a complete hoax as far as we're concerned. The Russian influence on the election was not directed at any individual person, and with very limited results, it seems like, right? Jack? Nope.
Sorry.
Oh, okay. I thought we lost you there for a second. Yeah, I mean, it seems like we need to reverse this narrative. We need to reverse this narrative so that it goes back the other way. I mean, it seems like they're losing. That's the funny thing about this. It seems like the more they push this narrative, the more it seems like we end up with a little bit of the edge at the end of the day. So maybe they're doing 45% damage, and then we're having a 55% gain if it was a zero-sum game, which it's probably not. But it seems like there's more people getting fatigued and believing that it is a hoax,
right?
And that they're just wasting government resources, and then and that's obviously bad for America. And we're not getting anything done because of it. We're talking about government shutdowns and all that they're trying to blame Trump for. But it's like, hey, if you guys got your heads out of your butts, maybe and stop wasting money on this hoax, this witch hunt and all this, that maybe we get something done. But so, Jack, we need people to know where to follow you. So we ask you to go to @RealJack on Twitter, and where else can they follow you?
You can follow me at ilovemyfreedom.org. I post pretty frequently on there.
Okay. What I was going to ask you real quick about that. I see all these articles on there, but when I click on them, I don't see. Okay, there it is, Jack. I couldn't find the actual author. So you wrote, "Wow, SethRich parents admitted that he was a DNC email leaker to WikiLeaks. Here's what we need to know." And then it says Jack for the author. Okay, I wanted to make sure because I was clicking through and I didn't see the author names. And then where else?
I'm mainly on Twitter. That's mainly where I'm tweeting.
All right, awesome. And then what's your involvement on the Great American Era?
So we built a patriotic MAGA first apparel brand, and what we've been able to do is over the last couple of months we've been able to donate to help build homes for wounded warriors and just kind of get people some patriotic apparel.
Awesome.
Wow.
So, I was wondering what that was, and now that you said it, now it all makes sense. An apparel company benefits wounded veterans. Awesome. Well, with that, I guess we will talk to you next time, and we thank you so much for coming on. Anything else, Brian?
No, I'm great. Thank you, Jack. Much.
All right.
Thank you. I'm going to conclude with this.
Yep.
If the Russia collusion is working, why are Trump's approval ratings constantly rising?
I like to hear that. That's awesome.
Absolutely true.
Thank you so much, Jack.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. See you later. That was Real Jack on Twitter, which is Jack Murphy. Glad to have him on. So awesome.
And I didn't realize this, and
good and bad news, right?
Yeah, and I apologize, folks. I did not know Real Matt Couch follows us, and I follow him.
Oh, I've been given the heads up to follow what he's doing, and you're right. He's one of these rare people that is actually on the ground doing actual journalism. And a long time ago, I was watching Tim Pool back before anybody knew who he was, and he had this video, and he said, "You would be shocked at how few people do what I do." The sources for actual articles that you read, the reports that you see on television, cable news, your regular local, all that stuff, the people that go and receive the information that creates those articles and reports, the numbers of people that do that are shockingly low. And Matt Couch is one of the people that actually does it. Tim Pool does it.
Really?
Yeah. You go out there, and these people that are doing this, very, very small numbers. Like when you hear reports, what happened in Sweden last night?
Yeah.
Tim Pool went there, and he was the only one reporting. And before he got there, it was nobody. Like they had to get.
That's right.
You basically had to hear from people that were reaching out via Twitter, like, "Oh my gosh, look what happened," and they would live cast. But these are not journalists; these are people who live there. It's kind of like when the shooting started in Parkland. There were students in the classrooms that actually started live casting. Not a lot of them, but a couple of them did. But they aren't journalists and whatnot. But the people that actually do this for a living that go on scene, very small. Matt Couch is one of them. So
okay. Hey, and real quick, folks, we were talking about Dana Loesch at CPAC, and I did get the audio of her saying that. There's a real quick audio how she feels about the mainstream media and their reporting or their involvement with shootings.
Now I'm going to say something that some people are going to say is controversial. So I'll say it really slowly so all the people on the platform in the back can hear me loud and clear. Many in legacy media love mass shootings. You guys love it. Now I'm not saying that you love the tragedy, but I am saying that you love the ratings. Crying white mothers are ratings gold to you and many in the legacy media in the back. And notice I said crying white mothers because there are thousands of grieving black mothers in Chicago every weekend, and you don't see town halls for them, do you?
What do you know about crushing it?
It's kind of funny that your version of that says live up in the corner because it wasn't live. Just let you know.
Just now? It's not live?
Yeah, that was not live. What you're listening to now is live, unless you're watching it via playback. So
Right. No,
So
it was a live Periscope that I had gotten that from, because we can use that material without YouTube. Oh, whatever.
YouTube's gonna strike us no matter what.
They every single one of our shows. God bless them. Anyways, folks, we've got a lot of great information coming up. There's a lot of good things that are coming around the corner. Donald Trump is absolutely making America great again. It's the news that you don't hear anywhere, but here on Smith Radio. The truth about what's going on with Donald Trump's economy, the government, the Justice Department, which I teased earlier about Jeff Sessions, trade agreement, which was a big deal this week with the tariffs, and people freaking out, the stock market falling apart.
What is that all about? I did a little bit of research on that, so I will tell you guys, if you guys are in the stock market, or if your emotional state is dependent on the stock market numbers, the Dow Jones in particular, I'm here to tell you that I have good news for you.
Oh, sweet.
Just FYI. Just
nice.
FYI.
We have a close friend of ours, could even be referred to as a relative, but no name drops.
Okay.
He doesn't like it when we name drop.
Okay.
He made the comment, or it made the comment to me.
It could be a female.
You never know.
Person that could be considered a family member.
Right, and I don't want to offend anyone at this point in time. This individual informed me that the stock market has been extremely generous to them.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, there you go.
This individual's not a never Trumper, but not really on the Trump train, but did make the comment, I could say one thing. He's been good to my portfolio.
Really?
So that's how I'm telling you, folks, okay. 2020 coming around. Well, 2018, we're in it right now. The elections are coming up, and let me tell you, USA Today is freaking out, ringing the bell and blowing the dog whistle for the Democrats, telling them to wake up. You're going to lose. We also have Charles Payne this week also came out and was tweeting out a lot in the past past 48 hours, tweeting out a lot against people screaming and yelling about Donald Trump and his comment about tariffs and trade agreement. Well, not his comment. What he's going to do is for steel and aluminum to enact tariffs against steel and aluminum.
Meaning that if we buy it from another country before it gets to its destination, the government says, you got to pay us a lot for that, more than what they were before.
Right. And if you want, we can actually start right into that, because that was a big deal this week, and I want to let you folks know this is not what the mainstream media is talking about.
Right. You're going to hear the truth here.
They're screaming, and you got to understand, they want to divide us from Trump. They want us to be upset. That's all they want. They want nothing more than that. So whenever you hear these negative articles come out, or even Fox News bashing Donald Trump with the comment that he made about guns and gun control, that was a big deal this week as well. They're trying to troll you and make you upset and divide.
I have good news on that one too. We got great news on Smith Radio today. I'm telling you, I'm not going to blow smoke up anybody's butt. If you've been watching us for a long time, you know that I will not do that. I'm not going to just figure out how to spin this into good news. And you see some people out there doing that, where they're like, hey, no matter what, we got to have good news. And so we're going to take this horrendous news and we're going to trick people into thinking that's good. We're not going to do that here, but I legitimately have a good takeaway from these things.
From day one, when we knew that Trump was running, when Trump announced he was running, we were excited, we were fired up. And when Trump became the nominee for the Republican Party, I and Carrie, we both have said to each other off air and on air, we will tell you if Trump does something we don't like.
Right. Right.
And we'll tell you when he gets it wrong. And
so you'll be shocked to hear that we've got good news on this crazy the gun thing, the gun control thing.
It stands now. There's only one thing Trump got wrong.
Uh-oh.
That's only one thing. When he said there was hate and anger on both sides.
He's just pandering.
I'm sorry, man. It's only on one side. It's on the left.
He hasn't been right about 100% of the things, but there's things that people are criticizing him for that they're just not right about, and we'll explain that.
Right.
I'm not trying to point any fingers, but go ahead.
So real quick, Charles Payne tweeted out, tariffs on cheap China steel will not spark a trade war. And if you don't know Charles Payne, he's at CV Payne, Payne on Twitter. Charles Payne has his own show on Fox Business and follows Smith Radio. He follows Smith Radio, and he gave a shout out over the weekend and said thanks a lot there, Smith Radio. Appreciate what you're doing.
Well, I will since he's probably listening right now.
Of course he is. Charles loves the show.
Are we supposed to forgive you for voting for Obama in 2008?
He apologized. He came on the air. Of course, I forgive anybody for anything. Hey, we're all flawed.
I hope that was a good learning experience for him. It's my understanding that he voted for Romney in not that he wanted Romney, but that he did not vote.
I voted for Romney. I
know. We had to. I mean, because we're pragmatic voters, is what it is. When our choice is Obama or Romney, you're an idiot if you don't go out there and vote for Romney.
My choice is Obama and John McCain.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we did. We voted for John McCain, and that was before we knew how much of a traitor he was.
Right.
But
now, knowing that he's dying of brain cancer, now I would still vote for him over Obama.
I would vote for the cancer
over
Obama. Oh, my gosh.
Too soon?
Too soon, probably.
So Charles Payne tweeted out, we have to stop being so damn afraid of predictable. Afraid and predictable.
Okay.
I know very smart and caring folks are up in arms about proposed tariffs on steel and aluminum, but I think it's time to think outside the box. It's time to shed the idea that we have figured it all out, yet America's position in the world keeps sliding. With this gambit, the stakes are high, but they're getting even higher. More impossible to correct when we do nothing. The gauntlet has been thrown during the campaign when candidate Trump said he would push back against unfair trade, including using tariffs. I asked Trump voters if they would be willing to pay more for products to make a transition back to U.S. production, and I remember this. He said this multiple times, and asked like if he had a Trump supporter on his show. Real quick, just before we're going to end it, the segment's over, but real quick, if Trump puts in the tariffs and the prices of goods and services go up, will you still be willing to pay them? And every one of them said yes. I'm down. Folks, I am down. Get rid of the China, cheap garbage China stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't do anybody any. When we go to Harbor Freight and you buy an angle grinder that
for $15. Literally, this thing has an electric motor in it, and I think it may even come with a grinding wheel.
Yes.
And the metal guard and the handles, and you can use it to grind down metal. It has a wire that you can plug into the wall, all this stuff, and you look at it, the whole thing with the cardboard box,
the printing and plastic and wrapped up. Yeah.
All of it, $15. There's something wrong. When I go to Skyline Chili, if I'm really hungry and I'm sitting in and I have to give a tip,
okay.
One single meal is about that for me.
Yeah, well, if you get a large Mountain Dew, which we do, a large Mountain Dew, and a three-way, and maybe a Coney, yeah, you're almost
4 cheese Cholitos, a Coke.
Oh my
the
Lord!
Cholitos they're small.
Oh, okay.
4 cheese Cholitos, they're overpriced, by the way.
Okay.
A Coke, and then I buy some Thin Mints on the way out.
Oh, that's right. And you still leave a tip, $2 tip.
A $2 tip. You put all that together, and think of the work done to mine or to recycle that metal, to produce that electric motor, the wire to plug it in, the plastic housing, the box that it came in, the printing on that box. I'm telling you right now, there's something wrong.
Really, really super, super wrong. And not only that, but it's not that it doesn't last that long. Folks, it doesn't last that long. It's not like it's something that, that you might buy that's got the Milwaukee name brand on it. And by the way, P.S., folks, if it says DeWalt, DeWalt is also a.k.a. Craftsman.
A.k.a. Sears.
The
department store.
I was as upset as everybody else was, but when that DeWalt drill, when I was doing the screws in the decking, I was building a deck, I was putting the screws in the floor.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the smoke, and they lock up. Couldn't take it.
Well, the DeWalt drill that I was in the market for cost $700 because lithium ion was brand new, and and I thought, well, you get what you pay for, but you're saying it was all branding.
Yeah, I'm a Milwaukee guy.
All right,
anyway,
I'll take your word for it.
So Donald Trump tweeted out and said, when a country, USA, is losing many billions of dollars on trade with virtually every country it does business with, trade wars are good and easy to win. Example, when we are down $100 billion with a certain country and they get cute, don't trade anymore. We win big. It's easy.
I trust Trump on this one. I know there's a lot of people, and I mean that in both ways. Are you a trust Trump guy? Are you just blind? Look, when you hear about trust Trump people, and I know that there's some people out there, very small percentage of people who they have trouble thinking for themselves. They have trouble with that kind of stuff, and they have to rely on other people thinking for them, and I understand all that. But the vast majority of trust Trump crowd would not agree with you when you say, oh, you just blindly trust Trump. You just blindly. They love using that word, blindly.
I'm not blind.
Right. No,
I see clearly.
Blind means that you're not looking at facts. You're not analyzing them for a rational conclusion. You're not using logic.
Blindly is saying that Hillary Clinton, guaranteed by Frank Luntz, will win today.
That's blind.
Election day, Frank Luntz said guaranteed. If I wasn't clear enough, he said if I wasn't Frank Luntz, if I wasn't clear enough, Hillary will win today. That's blind.
that sounds pretty blind. He could just be flat out wrong.
Well, that too, yeah. Hey, a friend of ours, Katja Lee, on Twitter is at
Crazy About Trump.
Crazy About Trump. She tweeted out a YouTube video about Donald Trump's trade policy full speech in Pennsylvania. 2016. Folks, this is what Trump ran on, so if anybody's upset.
All right, well, so here's what the narrative is right now, and you hear this on Fox News, on CNN. Are you about to play the narrative?
Well,
actually, I'd like you to hear this before I give you my take on it and why this ends up being good news, and that you're kind of almost being lied to when it comes to people saying that this trade war is going to cause the economy to go into a tailspin and we're going to all be broke.
Well, isn't that what they said? If Trump was elected, the stock market would be destroyed. It would be erased.
And people reacted to that by selling, and it caused a massive crash until people said, wait a minute. Wait, hold on a second. Please hold on. Why am I selling my stocks? And then, boom, all
Logic
of a sudden,
says what?
Right, the stock market came flying back. But, I'd like to hear this.
So this is Maria Bartiromo. She is on Fox Business News. She is phenomenal when it comes to business and the numbers. And this is her take on what's going on.
What is Wall Street thinking about this? Because we know he likes it, but Wall Street doesn't.
You're right, Rachel. Look, just look at the last couple of days on Wall Street, and you see these massive sell-offs. People are nervous because they are expecting this to lead to retaliation. Will China come back and say, okay, we're going to start putting tariffs on your exports coming into China? Same thing with South Korea. We already saw South Korea retaliate when the president instituted tariffs on washing machines and solar panels, remember. But, Peter Navarro, who's representing the White House on this, basically told me on Friday, stop with everybody's hair on fire. The U.S. has been behind the curve in terms of free and fair trade for a long time. And the president promised that he's going to level the playing field, and that's exactly what this does. I think this was an initial reaction. We're going to hear from Wilbur Ross this morning, actually, who's the lead guy on trade. And he is also a former steel executive, by the way. He was the CEO of U.S. Steel, so he really understands what the impact of a lot cheaper steel coming from other countries means to the economy. I don't think it has a big impact on the economy, but you certainly have a lot of upset on the part of globalists when you look at, international companies deriving so much of their revenue from overseas. That's really who's
So you're
upset.
saying people should calm down and stop setting their hair on fire? Because you've got Republicans as well, from John Cornyn all the way to Wisconsin's Governor Scott Walker saying, whoa, whoa, whoa.
You're absolutely right, because the impact on the steel and aluminum industries is smaller than the impact on those companies that are inputting steel and aluminum. So it will mean higher costs there for those companies. They may very well turn around and increase prices. And so the argument is that this is going to be a negative for consumers. But I think we have to actually start digesting a new narrative out of Washington and a new era here, because the president is putting America first.
Yes.
I actually agree with what she's saying there, in that you almost need this reset. She's right. They're all right when it comes to once you start taxing an export or an import from another country that's coming in. Now, it costs more for anybody in America to purchase that, which will open up steel factories, let's say, aluminum factories, steel factories. These plants that produce it, or these mines that are bringing ore out of the ground, they have to open up, because now I'll give you a perfect example. When gold went through the roof, prior to gold going through the roof,
thinking that Obama was going to stay as president, and it went all the way up to 19,000. I mean, 1,900.
No, it was like $3,000 an ounce or something like that. Yeah, at its peak. Gold. Leave something in the comment box on the peak of gold. Gold peaked way up there. Check this out. Prior to gold going up like that, you never heard of a gold mining operation. And I mean, it was happening, but you never really heard about it. Next thing you know, there was a gold rush in Alaska, and it got so big and so hot and heated up there that the Discovery Channel had a reality TV show about it called Gold Rush. And so people, and if you watch that show, people were going nuts, buying huge equipment, transporting it all the way up to the outreaches, the frontier land, if you will, of Alaska, and they were mining for these tiny, tiny little flakes of gold. They would have millions and millions of tons of equipment working 24/7, and after 24 hours, they would clean everything out, and they would get this little shot glass full of gold, and that's what they were doing. So anytime a material that's in a high demand becomes scarce and the price goes up, people are going to start working hard to mine it and produce it and create it and all that kind of stuff. So that's the kind of stuff that would happen in America with iron, let's say, if we start taxing the imports of all these things. And sure, the price would go up a little bit, but then all of a sudden we'll have a lot more employment in America. People will be working again. And over time, what you're going to find, this is the part where you got to rip the Band-Aid off. Over time, anytime you tax anything, any product, any industry, anything at all, what you're doing is you're taking money out of that economy and you're just enriching that government that's taxing it.
Right.
And by doing so, you're going to govern the speed at which that industry grows. So initially you have a little bit of a lull in the action on steel because you're taking that money out of that industry when you tax it. What you'll find out is that as long as people want our products, all tariffs all worldwide have to go down because all these countries are competing with each other. So right now, the taxes that Trump are putting on is basically telling the world that we ain't Obama anymore. We ain't Bush. We ain't the Clintons.
This ain't no free ride.
You guys are no longer going to be having a free ride off the backs of American citizens anymore. So that's the key right there. But it takes time. It takes time to get there. Initially, you have to start pulling the Band-Aid off. And so...
And it's going to hurt. I mean...
It is.
For those of you who are addicted to the 99 or the dollar store or whatever the case may be, for those of you who buy products on a regular basis, whether it be balloons, paper bags, or paper, or gift bags, or whatever it is you buy at the 99, it's no longer going to be called the 99. It'll probably be called the $2.99.
Well, remember, it
the $1.99.
That same store, when I was a little kid and my grandma would talk about it, was the dime store.
The five and dime.
Well, the five and dime was prior to the dime store.
Okay.
It became the dime store because nothing could be only at 5 anymore.
Right.
prior to the dime store, it was the 5 and dime.
Okay.
And that would have been back in the 50s?
Okay, so our parents...
50s and 60s.
Our parents growing up.
Yeah, they had the 5 and dime. So when you hear dollar store, that's not a new thing. It used to be called the dime store. So, and everything in there was a dime or any multiple of.
What about the dollar store when you go there and something costs $5.67 or $9.67?
I thought it was all in increments of $1. So it'd be $5.
Oh, so that's how I get faked out. So it could be $50. It's just it's a round number.
Yeah, well, you may take 50 units to buy it, but it is a dollar store. 50.
Everything's a dollar store then in that sense.
Yeah, well, no, because they have cents. Like instead of $5, it's $4.99.
Oh man,
$4.99. Anyway, so the 5 and dime, I miss it.
So we got to do away with. Sorry, folks.
Yeah, my grandma used to take me to the dime store.
Cheap ain't good and good ain't cheap. I'm just saying.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
So Japan, this is Donald Trump trade agreements this week. If you guys go to megapill.com, that is your resource. I would not be shocked if the Trump administration was behind helping this individual to post correct articles, good articles. And these articles are found from Reuters, Fox News, NBC, The Hill, Bloomberg. They're all over the place. And Megapill acts as Matt Drudge, the Drudge Report.
Mm-hmm.
And he only posts links to articles that pertain to Trump and categorizes them: Trump's economy, Trump defense.
But hold on, though. Correct me if I'm wrong, because you're the Megapill guy. It's all positive articles, though, right? It's biased towards it's a pro-Trump kind of thing.
Okay, hold on.
I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. I might be wrong, but if there was an article, let's say, whether it's factual or not, doesn't matter. Let's say it is factual. That actually even proves the point even more. If it's negative about Trump, like, oh, Trump's decision causes all this turmoil, blah, 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 that would not be included. Is that true?
No, and here's this by CNN. Like, he's posted up multiple articles of CNN. This by CNN. Trump immigration office removes nation of immigrants from mission statement. If you click the link and go to CNN, they are bashing Trump as being hateful.
Okay, but that's a pro.
It's a good article for us.
Oh, yeah. Anytime you can make fun of CNN or bash CNN or anything like that, that's obviously a pro-Trump agenda. And don't get me wrong, this is absolutely needed. When it comes to narratives, propaganda, whatever you want to call it, we have been so outnumbered. We've been getting our butts kicked so bad and for so long. And here's how bad it is for the left. The left needs to have a massive, active, overwhelming propaganda machine just to tip the balance even with the right. Because logic, facts, and righteousness always wins out unless you pile on a bunch of lies, evil, and propaganda to make the evil sound good or righteous. It's all lies, and that's what the left is. But they need to trick you and lie to you in order to just keep the balances relatively even, which is why they win some, lose some. Because if the truth were ever the only thing allowed, which I'm not advocating for that, free speech means you're allowed to lie.
Right. Because that's how the college campuses, if you didn't hear about this week, we're not allowed to speak on college campuses because we tell the truth. You can only speak on college campuses if you propaganda.
They are not free speech.
No, negative.
Period.
No.
But the point is that if there was some sort of a magic wand you could wave and say, well, if it isn't factual, you can't print it as news or something like that, which is almost impossible to enforce, which is why we have freedom of press, freedom of speech, no matter what.
Right.
It's supposed to be enforced by kind of like crowdsourcing. Crowdsourcing you hear about in the internet age, right? Because everybody has instant access. Crowdsourcing is not new, though. It was how journalism was regulated back in the early 1800s, the turn of the, or I should say the era where America was being founded, 1700s, 1800s, where the people would have these little leaflets. They weren't even whole newspapers.
No.
They would do these little articles on paper and then try to sell them or give them away on the streets. And if you had provably false information, the word would get around quickly, and you were finished. Nobody wanted to listen to you anymore. Nobody wanted your papers. They wouldn't pay for the papers anymore. They wouldn't give donations.
Well,
that was the crowdsourcing back then.
Well, there's an article out this week that says CNN year to date, this time last year, they are down 30% in viewership. CNN is down 30% this time last year.
I think that there is the thing about CNN and why they aren't just completely dead is because people are willing to accept something that is demonstrably false as long as it fits their worldview.
I work with a couple people like that. So real quick, just to wrap this up with the tariffs and everything, Japan to buy at least 20 more F-35 stealth fighter jets from the USA.
Which are very expensive.
Very expensive. I can't even get out the millions. And they're going to buy 20 more. So this is another article by Reuters, and Reuters goes in and explains how,
Was it Japan or some other country that thanked Trump like the first week he was in office because he saved them millions and millions, possibly billions of dollars on some sort of a military contract because he had negotiated down the price of a fighter or a bomber or something that some other country was in the process of purchasing, and by Trump negotiating that price down, saved millions and millions and millions of dollars for some country. I feel like it was Japan, but I might be wrong.
It might be.
It's definitely an ally.
This week in the news, Donald Trump wins with Boeing and the 747 for Air Force One, gets a $1.4 million. Is it million?
It's got to be billion.
Okay, I'll just go with it. No, there it is. It's billion. You're right.
I was going to say 1.4 million. I mean, he could pull that out of his pocket.
$1.4 billion discount.
Okay.
Take it off the price. $1.4 billion?
And it's kind of scary when the company in question is like, all right, fine. That tells you right there.
What did they...
I'll tell you exactly what happened. Trump was like, bro, you and I both know that you're overcharging by $1.4 billion.
Because I know aircraft. I got one.
I buy aircraft. Yeah. I know how much it costs to build and maintain and all that stuff. You're going to come down on this price.
You know you are. That's something else. Right. You know how Maria Bartiromo was pressed by the Fox host, who I've never seen before, some new guy, and said, well, hey, Republicans are pushing back on Trump and Wisconsin and Scott Walker and blah, 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 they're pushing back. Well, let me tell you, she answered it very well, but let me interject a little bit. These politicians don't know jack, and they certainly don't know anything about what's real. They live in this bubble world. They don't know about business. They don't know how business works, and it's just to go against Trump when it comes to business and negotiating contracts. You're out. You're out of water. You're fish out of water, man. Anyway, so we were going to talk about when Donald Trump is going to confiscate all the guns.
Right.
Yeah, Donald Trump is now announced that he's taking everyone's gun, according to many reports in the mainstream media that have sources closed.
There's a lot of never Trumpers who are like, "Oh, I am so done." I had actually responded to somebody who said, I've been a big Trump supporter for a long time now, and just got to go ahead and tweet out now that's it. I'm done. I'm out of this deal. That's it. I'm no longer.
People were putting up memes on Facebook and Twitter saying, this is it. I voted for Trump. I was a Trump supporter forever and ever. This is the last straw. I'm never voting Trump.
I'm assuming. I'm just going to go ahead and.
It's a troll. It's got to be. It's a Russian bot.
A shill. A shill.
Okay.
Like a DNC shill who would say, hey, this is a good time to start sowing discord amongst the...
those Russian bots, man, they really run amok at things.
Well, do you think he's a Russian bot, or do you think...
I don't know. It's so fake. And then I saw counter memes where people were like, I don't care what Trump does. I'm always Trump.
All right, so here's what I wrote. I'll tell you who else? I did. You know what? I didn't even respond to him because I was like, I'm not even giving him time of day. But I was responding to somebody who said, I'm done. I'm no longer whatever. But instead of responding directly to him, I just tweeted out a new original tweet. And I said, I totally understand the concerns of the, quote, Trump skeptics crowd.
Okay.
But one thing I've learned from seeing him win victories for conservatism over and over again is A, never interrupt Trump while he's negotiating.
There you go.
And 2, never judge Trump's actions until he has made them. And he's going around saying, we're going to take the guns, we're going to do this, we're going to put these laws in. Feinstein is like, well, while you're at it, I got a list right here. Can you go ahead and say, and Trump's over there going, yes, give me your list.
You know why Dianne Feinstein's doing that? It's because she's desperate to get the DNC to back her again.
Whatever the reason is, she had to be beside herself, and of course all the never Trumpers and even
George Soros, like, where can I send a check?
Yeah, they're all like,
George Soros, where can I get Trump a check?
Oh my God, he's writing Trump a check. So they're all and people who are pro Second Amendment are freaking out, and I get it, I understand it. But guys, here's the way it is. I don't know if I'm the first one to say this. I haven't consulted anybody. I haven't read anywhere, and I haven't listened to any commentators say this. If they have, I'm sorry. I'm not stealing from you, but I've came up with this independently, and if it's in parallel with somebody else's theory, then I'm sorry, but I didn't steal this from you.
Great minds think alike.
Great minds think alike.
If Charles Krauthammer said what I'm saying right now, great minds think alike.
This is an election year.
Yeah,
that's very important election year.
Yes, very true.
Democrats cannot allow Republicans to put in any kind of legislation whatsoever that would be considered a landmark legislation that normally would be in the wheelhouse of the left while the Republicans are in control. It gives voters no reason to vote for Democrats.
Is that why they're sitting on this DACA thing? Trump came to the table.
They can't.
Trump's still tweeting out,
he's like,
I'm on the table with DACA.
He's practically, I would go so far as to say Trump may come forward and say, I'm just going to offer amnesty to everybody. Now, there's a difference there. Here's the difference. Weapons, rifles. I don't want to call them assault rifles because it's nonsensical.
Right.
The phrase assault rifle is nonsensical. Rifles, not assault. Rifles cannot vote.
What?
They can't go into the poll, and we need to make a cartoon about that. Animation. We need an animation.
Full animation.
We need an animation where rifles go in and actually pull the lever.
Not Mr. Producer, Mr.
Moderator.
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Moderator might come through.
A gun pulling the lever.
Yeah, it has to be an AR-15 style.
Pulling the lever for who? Republicans?
Well, it would be Democrats because here's the thing.
Oh, because they think that it can vote.
Okay, so if Trump comes out and says, you know what, screw it, let's just say everybody in America that is illegal, we're just going to grant them full amnesty from here on out, and that's it.
Okay.
The Democrats actually would say, yes, let's do that because the thought is that they know what percentage of the illegal immigrants would vote for Democrats. They'd be a little worried that they would be so happy that they got amnesty from Trump that they would vote for Trump. That's very possible.
Right.
That actually may happen. But they know that in general there's a percentage of illegal immigrants who would vote Democrat, and so by saying yes, let's do that, that they would have more victories, bigger victories. So that's the difference between DACA and gun control legislation, is that guns cannot pull the lever.
Right.
So my point is that he comes out and says 1.8 million, we're going to give them amnesty, and now all of a sudden the Democrats are like, whoa, we are not.
We only asked for 800,000. Don't you think you're going to double it on us?
No, you didn't. We need to go back to the drawing board.
Run.
So there is some similarities there, but the gun control legislation is a big one because they're not really necessarily getting votes additional votes just by doing that. But so here's my point. Trump figured that out. He figured out that they cannot give him this victory.
No, right.
They can't let him take the gun control issue from them. In fact, why do you think that they have children parading around on CNN calling for gun control? Do you really think they care about kids dying? No, as a matter of fact, the more kids die, the better as far as they're concerned.
Right.
Dana Loesch illustrated that. She illustrated that the more children dead, the better when it comes to CNN. The reason they're doing it is because it gives them a chance to take a strong position on a very emotional topic. On the other side, the Republicans can only counter with something that they can bash over their head with called, you just want dead children, right? That's what they're going to bash them over the head with. You just want dead children. You just want dead children. They don't care about whether or not children actually are saved or die or anything. They just want to be able to make a strong. They want to turn that thing into a bat and beat the Republicans over the head with them. You want dead children. You want dead children. That's what they're doing. And so when Trump comes forward and says, you know what, I agree. I don't think we should have any more kids shot. Let's just illegalize all weapons. All of a sudden, the Democrats are like, whoa, we did not sign up for this.
Nope.
Nice. I like that. That was a little sound effect there. So the point is that he can't take this away from them. He can't take.
They're saying he can't. They won't allow him to take it from him.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's literally, it has nothing to do with guns. It has nothing to do with the fact that they're going to do anything that's unconstitutional at all. He's posturing in order to send a strong message to the Democrats that you are not going to be able to use this as a battering ram.
Right. And did you see this week how everybody from, I almost said Benjamin Netanyahu, Judge Napolitano, everybody from Judge Napolitano to CNN to MSNBC, all across the board, a lot of conservative people out there, oh my goodness. Can you imagine if Obama would have said these words that Trump said? Oh, just think of it.
That is their backup plan.
Gun control?
Their backup plan is to say, listen to him talk about gun control. This is the wedge.
He's worse than Obama.
It's a tightrope.
Yeah.
So on one end, he's saying we're not going to let you use this as a battering ram against Republicans. I'm just going to say, yeah, let's do all kinds of unconstitutional anti-Second Amendment measures. Send the bill through. I'll sign it. We'll make this thing a law. Second Amendment be damned. I don't think he's pro-Second Amendment. He was endorsed by the NRA sooner than just about any other organization endorsed Trump. I think NRA endorsed him extremely early.
Right.
And I believe their initial assessment of him. I think this is a giant bluff. I'm telling you, I think it's a giant bluff. Right. He knows they can't call. Guys, I play poker. If you play poker out there, you'll understand it. If you have the losing hand, but you figured out that your opponent cannot call an all-in, how do you think you're going to win this hand? You can't just check it down. You have the losing hand. You have the losing hand. If you check it down or call it down, you lose. If you want to win this hand, you're going to have to go all in, but only because you know he can't call. Now, if he does call, you lose.
But we know the Democrats can't call.
They can't call, and he knows it, so he's going all in. He's like, hey, give me my eraser, give me my giant eraser, and give me the Constitution, and I'm going to start erasing right now. And the Democrats are like, oh my gosh, what can we do about this? So what is their backup plan? Look at hey, all you hillbillies that like your guns and your Bibles.
What?
Look what he's doing to your Second Amendment. That's their only play right now.
You mean Donald Trump really is going to take away my guns and my Bible?
Yes, he is. Don't you see? Could you imagine if Obama said this? That's literally what they're saying.
That's what they did.
They are saying, can you imagine? Put these words into Obama's mouth. How can you possibly support Trump when he used words that you guys would be climbing all over the walls if you heard Obama say?
Because can you imagine? Remember how you felt when you thought Obama was taking your guns away? You remember those feelings you had.
Yeah, Bible thumping, all that stuff.
Those are the same feelings you need to get back because Trump's doing worse than Obama.
Look at how liberal he is. He is so liberal.
So real quick, this is Donald Trump.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah, I mean, it's. Yeah. I think that he realized they can't call on this, and he went all in on it.
Right. This is Judge Janine interviewing Trump. It was just like a 2-minute clip where he called in on the phone. The phone call. Somebody get Trump the hotline for the Smith Radio. But anyways, so
interrupted the program for a phone call.
Yes. So she's talking to him about his approval ratings, and then he goes in and makes a comment about DACA. So this is Donald Trump with Judge Janine.
Well, I think that I've had a lot of good ideas, and I have a lot of energy. I get things done. I mean, I'm very proud of what's happened with the economy. If they would have gone with in the other direction, they would not have gotten rid of regulations. I really believe that while the tax cuts are the biggest ever, there has been no bill like that passed, including Anwar and including getting rid of the individual mandate, which is the worst thing going on Obamacare, and healthcare is starting to really come along now well. You're going to see premiums start to drop. But with all of that being said, I think
Hold on, Mr. Producer, real quick on that, real quick. I just want to make the comment. These regulations that Trump is removing, nobody wants to talk about it because it is the biggest. It is. I said it earlier this week. The silent killer for the Democrats or socialism or communism. The silent killer. The removal of regulations.
Killing of what?
Socialism, communism, Democrats. Yeah. The silent 100%. Killer that nobody talks about. Remove regulations and you remove the power that socialist, communist, Democrats have. You remove their power, no matter how much Kool-Aid they drink.
Leninade.
How much lemonade they drink.
Is that alcoholic? I feel like it should be.
It should be, but it says...
If you read the label, it kind of looks like it's got to be alcoholic.
It says a taste worth standing in line for.
Oh my God.
So if anybody sees the top of that cap and wants to know what that's about, you got to be on with Smith Radio for a long time. So it's the silent killer, folks. So back to Trump on the phone with Judge Janine.
Oh, it says get hammered and sickled. It's got to be alcoholic.
I'm not drinking. I'm not drinking the lemonade.
The cutting of regulations is what has given us this, because... as you know, the tax cuts just happened a fairly short while ago. I've been cutting regulations now for over a year, substantially. Only unnecessary regulations, but you couldn't build, you couldn't do anything. Look at the pipelines. If you look at the Keystone Pipeline, if you look at the Dakota Access Pipeline, Janine, 48,000 jobs, they were dead. And I approved them right at the beginning of my administration. And environmentally superior because you're underground as opposed to trucking and all of the things that you have to do to get the product to the various coasts and to where it's going, to the refineries. So, it's been an incredible period. And I was saying before, and somebody was very readily agreeing with me, I don't think any administration has done as much as we've done in the first year. I don't think it's even close. Between the taxes, the regulations, Justice Gorsuch, many district judges, many Court of Appeals judges, and many more to go. We have great judges, literally just waiting. We have a tremendous problem with Senator Schumer where he's not approving people that are working in the administration. It's unprecedented. We have hundreds.
See, I got the power of the pause. But no.
Janine was getting a little frustrated there.
The Heritage Foundation. Huge think tank, conservative think tank group, came out with an article this week. I talked about it. They are comparing Donald Trump's first year to that's greater than Ronald Reagan's first year.
Easily. And I was young at the time, but I mean, I could look back in history.
Yes, I'm saying.
Yeah.
So Donald Trump is not far off the mark when he says these things.
It's people that have taken so long to get approved, and we have people still waiting to get approved in the trade groups, in very important groups, Janine. The Democrats, I mean, the one thing they're incredible at is obstruction. The one thing they're incredible at, they use it. They resist. And it's just bad for the country. So hopefully that can get done, and hopefully we can get DACA done. I'd like to do that for the Hispanics out there. You know, I did very well with the Hispanics, much better than anyone would have thought. I'm the one that's pushing DACA, and the Democrats are nowhere to be found.
You know why, George, this is kind of a little bit off on a tangent, but George W. Bush did very well with Hispanics, but I'll tell you why. He was able to get on a big old podium and belled out an entire speech in perfect Spanish.
Oh, so he did the habla españolo.
He did many speeches, stump speeches, in full-on Spanish.
I have a family member that refers to Bush as Papa Bush.
Yeah, I mean, there's something, you know, when Benjamin Netanyahu speaks to the American people in English, or even like Putin speaks to the American people in English, there's like a connection that happens.
Well, there's a level
speaking your language.
Yeah, well, there's a level of respect, a level of
understanding,
empathy. Yeah, absolutely. When I lived in Italy when I was in the Air Force, and when I lived there, when the Italians saw that I was trying and attempting to speak to them in Italian,
right?
Oh, worlds opened up. They invite you to your house and feed you food and give you wine.
You might as well be an actual alien from another planet, or not even human at all. Which, by the way, if you're from another planet, you wouldn't be human. But yeah, I mean, you might as well be a monster or whatever if you cannot communicate with your neighbor, because there's a connection that happens.
Or if you're Justin Trudeau, you're an alien. It doesn't matter if you speak English or not. Justin Trudeau, you are a freak.
He's like the Prime Minister of Canada. He is the poster child for soy boy. He is a soy boy. He was doing a dance with. Yeah.
Anyway,
so embarrassing.
Oh,
he is an embarrassment to everything.
He's an embarrassment to soy boys.
Even soy boys are like, "Hey, man up! Man up! You better man up!"
No, you didn't. Oh, my goodness. Wow.
Yeah, soy boys have some characteristics that are,
They're delicate. They're delicate, yeah, to say the least. Anyways.
Oh, boy.
So I think we pretty much nailed the whole, the DACA and gun control. He tied them both together.
Yeah, I mean, what it boils down to is some of this stuff might be over your head. He's not going to take away guns. He's not going to do anything that is blatantly unconstitutional with regards to the Second Amendment. But I'll tell you what, there's so many laws in place right now that we have to live with on a daily basis that are so against the Second Amendment. It's unbelievable. Anytime you could get in trouble legally by the law, whether it be a ticket or whether it be getting arrested, because you have in your possession a firearm, whatever law it is that you've broken is unconstitutional. If you go into the local grocery store here, Kroger's, they have a little liquor store inside the Kroger grocery store. You are not permitted to open it up and drink it, or whatever. You're not allowed to. You're just not to open it up. Okay.
You purchase it and leave. But there's a big sign on the wall that says if you are carrying a gun, you're going to jail and felonies and all this, because alcohol and guns, whether closed or not, cannot apparently be in the same setting together. I guess alcohol triggers guns. So if you feed a gun alcohol, you get triggered.
You pour it down the barrel. Oh, my God. It just starts going full auto right there. By the way, we call that a runaway. A runaway, for those of you that don't know, I'm going to teach you all something right now. When you fire a gun and you let go of the trigger and it keeps on firing full auto, it's called a runaway. And you do not have to have a full auto for that to happen. All you need is a semi-automatic, and a runaway is pretty scary, frightening thing. But old guns that have been used too much, if you will, could cause the parts to wear out in it and could actually cause a runaway, which we actually had a runaway on the rifle range when I was in boot camp. But here's the thing. The way the instructors informed us about it, you would think that this was a very common occurrence. So apparently it happens all the time, because the weapons we had, I mean, when you shake it, you could hear the slop between the parts.
So when they heat up, they can still fire.
No, I have an AR-15.
So if you
get tight.
sand and dirt, and it still works. You go underwater.
It does work. It does work. But here's the thing, though. They were used a lot in boot camp. I mean, they were fired a lot. They were marched around with all over the place. We had to do all that kind of stuff with our weapons. We probably drug it through mud and had to clean it up.
Apparently, Carrie is a misunderstanding about what guns are capable of doing.
Okay.
What'd you think was going to happen pushing me like that, baby? Being my wife ain't no pony ride, bitch.
Oh, wow. You got to be careful with these guns.
That was real footage.
that was found footage from somebody scoping or something.
CNN busted into somebody's home like they attacked that lady.
Oh, right.
And got full footage.
Wow.
Oh, anyways. Slow day in the news media, I guess. Lord. Anyway, folks, Donald Trump's America is coming together. The Democrats, we're talking about Democrats and how they have no substantive narrative. Like their narrative is racist, bigot, sexist, homophobe, Islamophobe, hate and anger, throwing granny off a cliff and stealing your retirement money, whatever it is, it's going to make you sick, going to take your health care from you. It's all negative. There is nothing of substance. I don't know. There's nothing of substance that I've ever seen within the last, 15 years?
Probably.
Maybe more. So check this out. USA Today, I told you earlier that USA Today wrote an article, it's a dog whistle, to let the Democrats know they need to wake up. The article goes, if Democrats run in 2018 like they're running in California, they're in big trouble. Big trouble in Little China.
Why would they?
They're in big trouble. Well, apparently they're not backing Dianne Feinstein.
She is the poster woman for liberalism, communism, progressivism.
The video that went along with this article that I didn't get, I did have the capability to get in the video, and I didn't think it was relevant, but now I'm thinking back, and I'm like, oh, man, we could have gone back and forth. In the video, they say, they, meaning the Democrats, the establishment, say, oh, no. Dianne Feinstein has gone conservative many times. And just look at this clip from her from back in 1954 when she was senator. And it was an old clip, maybe back in the 80s or something. And she said, I am for the death penalty. And the whole crowd booed her. And she's like, no, we need to knock these people out.
Okay.
And so they're like, see, I told you she was conservative.
She's definitely not conservative.
Carrie, according to the Democrats.
Wow, that's
they went all the way back to the 80s. It looked like an 80s clip.
Why are they trying to get rid of her? What are they going to replace her with?
Well,
they're gonna fail on this.
This by USA Today, in a stunning rebuke of the establishment. The party refused to endorse Senator Dianne Feinstein. She won only 37% support from the convention delegates. Listen to that. Dianne Feinstein only won 37% of the delegates. She needs 60. She only won 37.
What did she do wrong? This is nuts.
Progressive challenger.
Oh, God.
We got a challenger. He's progressing. A progressive challenger and state Senate leader Kevin DeLeon also fell short, but he outperformed Feinstein 54% of the vote. Feinstein is still a heavy favorite to win re-election in November, but the rejection of Feinstein, a political icon in California, is a potentially important data point in the civil war brewing within the Democrat Party and its base. So establishment...
I feel really ignorant about this. We're always reporting on, I wouldn't call it a civil war. I definitely think that's a mischaracterization when it comes to the Trump support, the Trump base, where you got your never-Trumpers, you got your Trump skeptics, and you have your Trump, your trust Trumps. Your trust Trump skeptics and never-Trumpers.
Right.
Never-Trumpers not even part of his base. But there's the Trump skeptics and the trust Trump is definitely part of his base that I would say are bickering back and forth. While we're covering all this, I had no idea that the Democrats were in the middle of a civil war. I had no idea.
Yeah, they are. Apparently, their base and the establishment are at each other's throats.
Okay.
At each other's throats. And for some reason, they're claiming, this USA Today article is claiming that Dianne Feinstein is not the establishment, and that she is part of the base. How are you in office your entire life and you're not a part of the establishment? How is it that you're...
Was she an outsider? That doesn't make any sense.
No.
Yeah, that's pretty weird. They're just making stuff up to try to bash each other with.
Either that or this really is, because the whole article goes on and on and on and on by USA Today, and the whole article talks about what the Democrats need to do, how they need to win. Oh, it was projected that they could turn 40 seats when they really only need 23 seats to flip. But if they keep doing this in California and they do that nationwide, they're not flipping nothing. And I'll be honest with you, I think our base is pretty energetic, energized. I think we've got a really good base and outreach as well. Ronna McDaniels, the GOP chairwoman, I'll play her in just a second. She is talks about the outreach, talks about the big tent party. Mm-hmm. I keep hearing the big tent party welcoming. You heard Dana Loesch, railing against CNN not having a town hall for crying, grieving black women. Folks, it's not going to take too much longer before the black community... speaking about that, our good friend Wayne Dupree, did you hear what happened to him this weekend? Or this week?
What happened to him? No. What happened to Wayne Dupree?
Wayne Dupree, I got to send the notes, Mr. Producer. Wayne Dupree. There's his name right there. Okay. Wayne Dupree tweeted out, and he said, "This is what it's all about. It's okay to be black, conservative, and love America and not vote Democrat. Freedom exists."
Is that the one that Donald Trump retweeted?
Donald Trump retweeted with a quote.
Ooh, okay.
"So true, Wayne, and lowest black unemployment in history."
Now, did you see the date on Wayne Dupree's tweet that was quoted? Because somebody pointed that out, and I went and checked it out.
Damn it.
No, the point is, it was actually tweeted out a long time ago. In fact, probably before...
So you're saying that Trump went through his timeline?
He found that tweet by Wayne Dupree.
Or maybe somebody found it for him and said, "Hey, check this out." To be a conspiratorial...
Trump is personal friends with Wayne Dupree. He's given him like 5 interviews.
That was 3. 5? There you go.
He told us 4, and I think there's been one since then.
Wayne, I just want one.
Yeah, Wayne needs to give us a shout out to good old
just one.
Mr. President. So he found that tweet. It was older. I think it predates Trump's election. What? And so Trump found it and retweeted it. Yeah, it's interesting. No, it's kind of interesting. It makes you think of what's behind, like what's the context of Trump retweeting that. But here's the thing. Wayne's a pioneer. As far as I know, prior to Trump coming along, black Republicans stayed extremely covert. Extremely covert.
Back during the early 2000s, I lived out in California right after 9/11, and I listened to a black Republican. He was
Republican, okay.
Part Republican and part Libertarian.
Okay.
Larry Elder. I don't know why I had Michael Medved stuck in my head. Listen to him too. A book called Turning Right Turns.
Right.
But Larry Elder was a still very popular talk show host out in California, railing against communism, socialism, Democrats. He says that kryptonite to Superman, like a toe tag liberal to Oh, I got it messed up. Anyway, so he had all these things really railing against, and they called him on a regular basis an Uncle Tom, a bootlicker, just
the amount
cussing him out left and right.
Yeah, the amount of peer pressure and bullying that goes on when it comes to a black man or woman being conservative or supporting conservatism or supporting conservative politicians or being friends with conservatives is very, very fierce, very, very. It's almost insurmountable. It's like you have to just kind of stand your ground to avoid the kind of,
I got it. Sorry, Larry. Sorry. A fact to a toe tag liberal is like kryptonite to Superman.
There you go.
A fact. They can't. A toe tag liberal. I mean, a die-in-the-wool liberal.
That's where it starts, right? If you can get past the cultural differences and the skin color and racism and all this kind of other crazy stuff, and if you're a black man or woman in America and you are just really hell-bent on sticking to truth and being loyal to truth and honesty and righteousness,
right?
And that's all you need right there. If you can stick with that being your foundation, you start to realize I can stand up to these liberals because they are lying to me and they're evil. And I want to be on the side of good. I want to be on the side of truth and honesty and righteousness. And so I can stand up to all the peer pressure, and I'm going to stand my ground. And then from there, you progress to being a little bit more open about it. And then from there, you progress to actually trying to tell people to grab onto your bumper and you'll drag them to freedom.
That's
really what it boils down to.
Hold on.
And that's what Wayne has done. Wayne has gone from being a black conservative that probably, I don't know, I should probably ask him that. Did you have to be quiet about it? Did you used to be liberal? What made you discover that you were conservative? And then one day he decides he's going to be a broadcaster. And so at that point, he's just being flat out wide open about his conservatism. So he's overcome the ridicule of being a black conservative. And now he's just like, come on, guys, I'm dragging everybody to freedom.
Right.
And so that's the kind of progression that they have to go through. And it's a sad, sad day when you have to overcome so much just to be a conservative.
I just thought about something, saying drag them to freedom. If you've been with us for the last 4 years here on Smith Radio, back in the early days, my daughters, they're homeschooled, and back in the early days, I talked about this book called The Drinking Gourd. In kindergarten, the state sent my wife books that the kids should read if you're going to take the state-run homeschooling agenda.
Okay.
So it's Common Core. So they sent them this book called The Drinking Gourd, and it was about, the whole book was all about how blacks in the South, black Americans in the South, followed the Big Dipper across the Ohio River to Lake Erie to catch a boat to freedom in Canada.
Yeah, and we were like, wait a minute, we didn't learn it like that.
It was less, so we did some homework, it's less than 5% of, was it?
1.5.
1.5%.
1.5% of freed slaves or escaped slaves went to Canada.
Right. So last night, my daughters and I were outside, and you could see Orion's belt was beautiful in the sky. And I said, on the other side is the Big Dipper. So if you know Orion's belt there, and the Big Dipper's over there. And my daughter, who's now 10, just turned 10, said, "Oh, that's that book, The Drinking Gourd, where
I can't believe she remembered that, because that was when she was 5. That's actually kind of amazing.
So I had to remind her that The Drinking Gourd, the people followed it, the Big Dipper, to freedom across the Ohio River.
Right.
I just said, yeah, that's right. They went all the way to the Ohio River. As soon as they crossed the Ohio River into Indiana and Ohio, it was free.
I should probably do a study on all the numbers, because we know that we know that it was 1.5% that went all the way to Canada. I would like to know what percentage actually escaped prior to the Emancipation Proclamation, and I would like to know how many of them actually made it all the way past the Ohio River, because some of them may have stayed in the South. Some of them may have never escaped until the Emancipation Proclamation. So it'd be very interesting to see all those numbers, because those are facts that you could build some sort of an idea of what really happened back then instead of just taking the word from people who are now demonstrated to be liars.
Right, and we're talking well over 150 years ago.
Right.
But
they would have some numbers that you could go through.
Dude, that's cool. No, I'm just saying that the Republicans ended slavery.
Mm-hmm.
We freed slaves from the Democrats over 150 years ago, and they have never recovered mentally or psychologically. And
that's why they founded the KKK, the Democrats.
Yep, correct. And yet we've got hundreds of millions of people around the world to this day enslaved in Africa, Europe, enslaved in the Middle East,
mm-hmm.
and yet
it's the same thing as doing rallies against guns and gun control. They don't care about any of that. They just want to have a narrative that they could bludgeon the Republicans with.
Right, absolutely. And we were talking about the USA Today article, how the Democrats are falling apart and they have nothing they're running on. Charlie Kirk, if you follow him on Twitter, at CharlieKirk11, yeah, it's a good guy. He tweeted out, net change in voter registration in key states since 2016. Net change in voter registration, key states since November 2016. Did I say 17? 2016.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So this was right after the election till now, voter registration. Arizona, plus 16,000. These are on the thousands. Plus 16 for Republicans.
That means 16,000 more than Democrats or more than what the Republicans had before?
Net change.
Okay, so 16,000 more Republicans.
Right.
Okay.
Pennsylvania, 84,000.
Wow.
Colorado, Democrats, 1,000.
Okay.
Florida, Republicans, 74,000. North Carolina, Republicans, 65,000. Maine.
That's big.
Yes, North Carolina. Maine, Republican, 1,000. That's still, you're moving in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
New Hampshire, 7,000 Republican. New Mexico, Republican, 13,000.
Well, back to New Hampshire, that's a really small state and doesn't have a giant population. Plus 7,000 is pretty significant.
I would think so. In New Mexico, the Ana Navarro railing against Donald Trump. She used to be a Republican, but she's paid. She's paid. Shill.
She's a shill.
She's a John McCain Republican, if you will.
She's more of a. I think she is never really been Republican. I'm not sure. I think the John McCain story, his story, is a little bit murky. Ana Navarro is pretty obvious. She was not even close. There's nothing about her that is Republican, rhino conservative. She's full-blown, totally far left. But anyway.
Right. And it was Republican in New Mexico and screamed during the whole campaign, Donald Trump's sexist, racist, bigot, homophobe, hates Donald Trump to this day, saying that New Mexico will never support this guy. And now we've got, since November till now, 2016 till now, New Mexico, Republicans, plus 13,000.
Wow.
Nevada, Republicans, plus 22,000. And
Nevada's got a really small... Besides Reno, I mean, literally, there's probably no other state in this whole country where outside of Reno and outside of Las Vegas, there's literally no humanity. It is barren desert and a lot of government.
Well, you got a bunny ranch out there.
That's right out. That's Reno. The bunny ranch is in Reno.
I think it's outside the Reno proper.
Right, but it's like you could ride a bike to it almost.
Oh, is that how you get to it?
Well, if you're gonna be drinking,
you gotta be responsible.
Right. You might. Although in some states, operating a non-motorized vehicle under the influence could possibly get you a DUI.
And if you're on campus at Purdue University and you're walking around.
Yeah,
it's public intox. Yeah.
Well,
and you got to go to public detox.
Wow. Public detox. That's called the drunk tank.
That's exactly what it is. Woo, good times, folks.
I never knew anybody that did any of that kind of stuff.
Neither do
I.
Neither do I. Good times. So we're talking about, I know you made a comment that Rush Limbaugh was saying that low-level elections are being won by Democrats.
That's what I thought, but, I mean, this is kind of, it was Rush Limbaugh said that, and it really... It was a call to arms, and you know what? No harm, no foul. If he was totally inaccurate on that, it's not going to hurt us, because he's basically saying, guys, get up off your butts.
Right.
Walk yourself over to wherever you need to do and volunteer to go door to door. Or, by the way, up until this past election cycle, and Brian can vouch for this because he helped me.
I did.
To me, it was a no-go. It was a non-starter to say, "Oh, Carrie, you want to volunteer? Well, here's some papers. Take these door to door, knock on this stranger's door, and when the stranger opens it and says, can I help you? You give them this pitch."
And you say,
that was
"Hey,
a non-starter.
Do you like chicken or beef?"
Oh, so Brian used to sell meat for a living, and I knew that. So I was like,
hey, y'all eat chicken up in there?
So I knew that about Brian, and I was like, hey, that Brian's an old pro at this. Let me call him up and tell him to come along with me so I don't have to do this thing that was completely unacceptable to me. And Brian, this will be an old hat for him.
I'm like, all right,
old hat.
Let me show you how this is done, man. Let's do it.
So after doing this for a little while, I will have to tell you, and it wasn't very long. It was like a couple days doing this. It's not that bad. It's not something that
it's in your head.
It's not something that a certain personality would never be able to do. You may be slower if you're a very introverted person. It may take you a couple of days of going out with an extroverted person to kind of see how it goes. But here's what got me comfortable is when I started to know how the various different types of people who may answer the door are going to react.
Right.
No matter what. I mean, it got to the point where if a flaming Soviet-style Marxist answered the door,
yikes,
I knew how they were going to react. I knew how I was going to react when they would react. And
he comes to the door with a hammer and a sickle.
It's like, I'm going to get you with this. That doesn't happen. No. The worst case scenario is somebody will see you coming from 2 doors down and be like, don't you come knocking at my door.
You just wave.
I voted for Obama.
You wave, say God bless.
Because I ain't a racist.
I hope you get help with that.
Right. You kind of make a joke out of it and you just move on, you know. Nobody's going to want to fight you or anything like that.
Something else, if you do decide to help and get involved and you do get the chance to go door to door, it will, I promise you, make you a better person to go door to door. And you'll find that because you're new, people that answer the door know you're new. And they may give you a little bit more leeway. If they see somebody coming, knocking on the door, hey, how you doing? This is John Doe from the Republican.
From Walla Walla, Washington.
And I'm here to ask you a couple of questions about the GOP candidate. What do you say?
Well, another thing that helped, too, was that a majority of people, and partly because of the list that we were given.
Yeah, we were given a list specifically of registered Republican voters.
Right. If you're new at this and you're doing this early on, you're only going to knock on people's door who were registered as Republican. Towards the end there, we had a list that would tell you whether they were Republican, moderate, undecided, or Democrat, but they didn't say not to knock on those doors. You could skip it if you wanted to, but after a while I was just like... So
I know you're in there hiding. Get the hell out of here.
oh my gosh. No, but eventually what ends up happening is you get so many people that are like, I'm voting for Trump. And then before you leave, they're like, hey, just want to let you know.
Yeah.
Thank you for what you're doing. Yeah, and they would do that stuff to you. And you're just like, I really feel like I'm making a difference. Yeah. And so.
A little tip, big tip actually. If you do this, number one rule, knock on the door and step backwards 5 to 10 feet.
They didn't teach us this, by the way. This is what Brian learned.
Like if you're on the porch and it's a narrow porch and there's 2 steps to go down,
yeah,
I will go off the porch and put 1 foot on the lower step.
Okay, all right.
Just get way away from the door. And when you do that, it forces them to naturally open the door because they got to come closer to you to hear.
Yeah, they can't hear what you're saying, and that entices them to actually come out. A lot of times they'll stand on the porch.
Right.
And then that way you can have a real discussion.
Right. So stand way far away from the door and wave like a stupid school kid. Just wave, hey, how you doing? But be very...
Hi. You know,
don't be creepy. Don't be creepy.
Was that creepy? Was that too much?
A little bit.
Oh, God. Yeah. What? And
that was a Wanda.
See, I had to go over the top because I've been told by a lot of people, strangely, that I look intimidating. When I went to Bull Moose, they were all like, "You gotta look intimidating." It was weird. Wow. I didn't know I looked like that, and it was especially strange to me because I was the little runt that got bullied growing up.
Right. Well,
I was tiny.
When you do the Wanda, was it Wanda? Wanda Sykes from In Living Color. No, not Wanda Sykes.
Oh, you're thinking of Ugly Wanda.
Yeah, Ugly Wanda. When you do Ugly Wanda, was that Jamie Foxx?
Yeah, Jamie Foxx and
In Living Color.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I remember the Ugly Wanda thing, but did I do Ugly Wanda?
She would do that shit. Hi.
Oh, like hi. Yeah, you don't want to do that. No, but so I would have to be especially friendly because I have, you know what my sister called what she has? Did you ever hear about this condition?
No.
It's the RBF.
What?
RBF.
Run, batter, free?
I don't even know what that is.
RBI, run, batter, in?
No. RBF is resting bitch face. You've never heard of this before? Oh, apparently it's a thing. And I never knew it, but apparently when a female, not all females, but there's some females out there that when their face is not smiling, it's
Maxine
not
Waters.
Maybe Maxine Waters, but when no muscles are being used in the face, you're just resting all the muscles in your face, and you're not smiling, you're not frowning, you're not trying to act angry, but in that state, your face is at rest, and you look mean in that state, and apparently my sister suffers from it heavily. And if you went to the Deplorable, you will have seen my sister, and so you could probably get a gauge on that. But yeah, resting bitch face is a thing. So our producer pulled up on the computer.
Wow.
So he's actually looking at pictures of people with RBF.
See, well, I mean, they even put Kanye West up in there. Kanye West up in there.
I thought, because this coming from my sister, I never heard of it before my sister brought it up, but I assume because she's the one that taught me what RBF is, that it was a female thing. I didn't know that men could have RBF too, but apparently that's the case. Now, that's not resting. See, Brian's pulling up pictures of Maxine Waters, clearly not in a rest state, but anyway. Are you just going to show him? That looks like deer in the headlight. Okay, now you're showing, this is the one that he brought up, but that is not, that's not a state of rest. That may be a state of rest. Right? No, the one you just showed.
This one.
Yeah, that one might be a state of rest. So,
this is my favorite.
You can't have RBF if you're...
Well, look at this one. That's RBF, isn't it?
No, she's kind of tightening her lip. Like she's pressing her lips together there.
That's normal for her. Okay. I think that's enough.
Oh, my goodness.
Somebody's going to get in trouble.
All right.
Woo!
So anyway, wow, we're having fun on Smith Radio today.
And speaking about that, folks, this is Smith Radio. My name is Brian Smith. Right underneath my picture, you can see me at Brian P. Smith. Follow me on Twitter. And Kerry, underneath his face, is Smith Radio, SMYTH Radio on Twitter as well.
Right.
We go live every Sunday evening, 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern. We've been doing this for years and years and years. I think we're coming up on our 4th year anniversary or something like that.
I know we started in spring. It was like in April or something like that. And I thought it was 2013. But it might be, it wasn't 14, was it? It was either 13 or 14.
Anyway,
whatever it was, I was concerned about the state of America under Obama, and I said, we got to do something, and then that was it.
Yep, and so we started doing this. Folks, we've created a Patreon account. We have a lot of great Patreons, and I want to thank each and every one of you to help make this show possible with all the technical aspect of it, with the cameras, the videos, everything that we do. Is because of our patrons. We were audio only, did not do any video at all, and now we go live with Periscope.
Well, and the thing is, it's kind of funny. I was telling Jack this earlier, was that when we started, the technology didn't facilitate this.
That's true. And ironically, we ran into, and there it is, Smith Radio, patreon.com/Smith Radio. We ironically found a company called Spreaker. It's the misspelling of speaker.
They threw an R in there.
Because the guy wanted $1 billion for the word speaker.com, and these guys like, well, let's misspell it, Spreaker. And it's $14.99 at GoDaddy. Brilliant.
So they went for it.
And so the reason why we went with Spreaker is because apparently we were able to finagle, or they have a connection with iHeartRadio, and somehow we finagled it. And
I never really asked you about that. Was that one of the reasons you went with them?
That is the only reason I went with them.
Oh, I thought it was something, because there's so many different things.
And Wayne Dupree was with them, too, and I didn't know at the time. Yeah.
No, we were on Spreaker before Wayne Dupree. He came later. What? Yeah, well, Wayne Dupree.
Where was he broadcasting from?
Well, he's in Cleveland, but I'm
sorry about that.
Well, that's where he's from.
I'm really sorry about that.
I believe that Wayne started broadcasting from Spreaker after us. However, he's been broadcasting for over like I think 11 years now. He's been broadcasting over the airwaves and all that for a long time, and he's become friends with Sean Hannity, and I think he's been a guest on his show one time or maybe a couple times or whatever. Develop a relationship with him. But the point is that we were really, really early on Spreaker. We were one of the, and we have a huge following because
I had no idea. I was rooting around.
How many people follow us now? It's got to be like 25,000 people on Spreaker.
I don't even go over Spreaker anymore.
Well,
unless I need to. We've got this. All this stuff costs money to have all these subscriptions, even to this video company that we use to be able to link all these videos together.
Make it look pretty for you.
Right, and to make it awesome and neat. There's a subscription for that, too. But thank you very much. I just want to give a shout-out to our patrons. And if you like what you hear and you want to help Donald Trump make America great again, help us help Donald Trump make America great again. You can join our private Smith Radio message group where we text message each other every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Oh, yeah.
Bunch of great folks in there. Jump over to patreon.com for $1. You can be part of that group. Be a Smith Radio groupie.
Right. Lots of fun.
All right, folks. So this whole show, I wanted to make it a very solid point of where we are going, what direction the country is going in, and what direction Trump is going in, because you ain't getting none of that anywhere else. And I think right now we've definitely crushed the whole narrative that Trump is stealing your guns.
It's not going to happen.
And then we did expose the Democrats as falling apart. And they got an internal civil war, apparently. So let's talk about the economy real quick, because that's something that nobody's talking about, really. The economy, small business confidence hits a record high at 2018 after the tax reform. Mm-hmm. When? This by CNBC.
Well, CNBC is kind of weird. You think NBC, MSNBC, they're so left.
Excuse me. And then you get CNBC.
Yeah, and if you listen to them, you would say, wow, CNBC, really? They have people there that I just really I don't think they can do it. When they're told by their bosses, guys, if you're not pulling the Karl Marx narrative, you might get fired. I think there's people over at CNBC that are like, you know what, then fire me. Then I just can't do it. I just can't.
Wow.
I really believe that's.
Well, I've got a handful of articles from them that are literally putting out the information that is good.
Yeah.
U.S. home building permits soar to the highest level since 2007, and that by Reuters. And that's something else. We were in the market for a house just this past year, if you know, and we bought a house just a few months ago. Our real estate agent said in this area, she's like, there's no, I don't know what the word she used for it. There's no product. There's no products in the market.
The word product?
Something like, it was a weird word like that.
The assembly line is off.
Yeah, she's like, no, the houses that come on the market that are worth the price they're asking get bought up like that. And some of the houses we saw that were on the market for 30,
they call that a seller's market.
Okay. The houses that were on the market for 30, 40, 60 days, we would go see those too, and they were a train wreck. Didn't want nothing to do with it.
There's a reason why they're on the market that long. Or they're asking for too much money or whatnot.
Right. So she's inventory. That's what she said.
Oh,
she
there's no inventory.
There's no inventory.
I checked the shelves. I'm telling you, man.
Hold on. We probably got real estate agents listening to us. We're not making fun of you. We don't know the lingo. I don't know the
inventory,
language.
Look, when you hear about inventory, you think somebody went into the aisles and checked all the shelves.
There's no more coffee left.
We just don't have any creamer. You're going to have to take it black.
Whoa.
I'm just telling you. There's no inventory.
Oh, anyhow. So U.S. home building permits soar the highest levels. Economy to grow. Now, this is a prediction. They're predicting the first quarter, which hasn't ended yet, January, February, March, into March, and we'll find out in what's after March. We'll find out in April what the first quarter has done. But the predictions right now, they're predicting a 5.4% rate in the first quarter GDP growth.
That's like way more than, people are saying if we can get over 3, right?
Yes.
If we can get over 3, we're in great shape.
I can't even tell you last time I heard of a 5.4% GDP growth. So that's the predictions. Everybody is really excited about the economy. The roaring, and that was by CNBC too as well. This by the Examiner, roaring economic optimism hits a 13-year high. Credit tax cuts.
Give the tax cuts credits. Look, I mean,
I don't know what to say, man. The liberal that I work with, I call him Gen Xer.
Mm-hmm.
He said, tax cuts. I had to pay. The tax cuts for me. Well, you're a single male and you rent an apartment.
Did he have the wrong deductions or whatever on there?
I told him, I said, you need to get a second because my millennial, this young kid, 29, married, very responsible. Him and his wife, they own a house. They own 2 cars. He did their taxes this year. He said he actually took it to somebody to relook it over because it was wrong. Something seriously wrong.
Like he paid $2,000 in taxes over the year, and now he's getting like $10,000 back or something.
Right,
didn't seem right.
He's getting back 3 times more than last year. 3 times the amount.
I think I've heard a lot of stories.
Yes.
I've heard a lot of stories. I feel like there's a chance that happens with a lot of people. What it boils down to is this. We all dreamed for a long time of having a president that was just not a politician, that demonstrated success in the kinds of fields that you would think would help in the job of president when it comes to domestic concerns. I remember there was a rumor going around, which I don't believe is true, when Trump was getting towards the end of the election cycle, that he was looking for somebody to act as the actual president for foreign affairs while he just works on the economy. And that's why we wanted to be a VP. This is before he picked Pence and all this kind of stuff. And I don't believe that rumor, but what it boils down to is that I think the rumor started because people were thinking, well, this guy is not a politician. Right. So he doesn't want to do the things that politicians are known for doing. He just wants to do what he's good at, which is economic stuff, getting America's economy back on track. But the reason we wanted him or somebody like him as president, we were sick and tired of these politicians that were just They just didn't get it. He does, and now the very things that we dreamed about being a possibility if somebody like a Donald Trump were to become president are actually happening.
It's a reality now.
So going forward, let's fast forward 10, 15, 20 years, way forward.
Wow.
Does the Trump presidency cause a paradigm shift among voters where somebody comes along who's a very successful businessman with no political background whatsoever? They have a shot now?
I think so. Absolutely, I think so.
If you have Mark Cuban, I'm just saying.
Yeah, Mark Cuban or the other guy that we interviewed. It's a business owner that slipped off of Twitter.
Doesn't Mark Zuckerberg want to throw his name in the hat or something?
Mark Zuckerberg did.
You know what it boils down to, though? A lot of people don't know or won't acknowledge that Trump has a very solid background in American history, understanding of the Constitution, and more broadly, just it seems like he's very well educated in philosophy. Like he just understands the philosophy behind this great experiment that we call self-government. And because of that, he's able to stay out of the weeds, but also he's able to navigate in the political waters like I haven't seen any politician ever. Like whenever a politician does something, it's usually really safe, really, really safe. They don't make any bold moves. Where Trump kind of operates more like a crazy poker player, where he's like, I know this guy ain't going to be able to call. Let's just go all in. And you're looking and you're watching the World Series of Poker at home. And what do when you're watching it on ESPN? They show you the cards in the corner.
Right.
They show you what he's got.
So I can see everybody. Right.
So you're looking at Donald Trump's hand and you're like, he has 7 high. He doesn't even have a pair. Why are you going all in? Are you nuts? This guy's the worst poker player in history. Meanwhile, the other guy's like,
he's got it all. I got nothing.
I got to fold. And then he folds, and guess who gets all the chips?
Donald Trump. Did you?
7 high.
Yeah.
7 high gets all the chips.
Did you know that Donald Trump loves poetry?
I did not know.
And he loves to read poetry.
Is this the 3rd episode in a row we're going to play this?
Did anyone ever hear me do the snake when I campaign? Because I had 5 people outside say, could you do the snake? And I said, well, people have heard it. Who hasn't heard the snake?
I can't believe this.
You should read it anyway. He said, let's do it anyway. I'll do it. All right, should we do it?
We will do that at the end of the show, folks. I just wanted to
give you a sneak
tongue in cheek. I think that's so hysterical. I love this. If you were here at the beginning of the show, you heard the song. You heard the song called "The Snake," and that was by Al Wilson. And this was all the way back in the.
I never heard this.
It sounds like 60s, 70s, and it's incredible. But
it sounds like a before the intro to like a cartoon or something.
Really?
Yeah. Like this is what you would play for, I don't know. Like a 70s sitcom or something. I don't know.
Oh, okay. I can see like Soul Train or Soul Train was a whole thing all about music. Anyway.
Right. Not music related.
Okay.
It'd have to be snake related.
Hey, they could have used this for what's his face that. Anyways, never mind. It's on the tip of my tongue. There's all kinds of shows out there about hunting for different snakes in Florida. I don't know if you've seen any of those. But,
I know they have to get rid of the crocodile problem or whatever they
get the crocodile problem. They also have boa constrictor because during the hurricane years and years ago, this is maybe 7-8 years ago, huge hurricane came down and destroyed a shop that sold rare snakes and reptiles, and now they're thriving in the Florida weather, and they're not part of that habitat, and they're absolutely ravaging the natural habitat in Florida. Anyways, a little side note on that. So we're talking about making America great again. We're talking about how great Donald Trump has been doing this past year, and I'm just going by the numbers, folks. These are the articles written by Reuters, Examiner, CNBC, Market Watch, who is no friend of Donald Trump, And you can find all these articles on megapill.com. Very organized and well done. So anyways, we're talking about the economy. U.S. jobless claims dropped to a 49-year low. Reuters.
No surprise there.
Nope. Wages grow at faster pace in 8 years, up 2.9%. U.S. adds 200,000 jobs in January. Oil production tops 10 million barrels a day for the first time since 1970. That's U.S. oil production.
Right,
U.S. oil production. Trump decreases debt to GDP, first time in over 50 years. Dow Jones, and I got this. This one was from a friend of ours. Dow Jones has never performed in its entire history like it's performing now. Is that fair to say?
Well, between the Dow Jones and the growth in wages, do you ever worry about possible massive inflation? Which apparently that seems to be what the Fed is up to right now. They're trying to
raise.
Yeah, they want to raise interest rates in order to temper the growth because they think that it's too fast, too much too fast, and that somehow that could be a danger. I mean, at the end of the day, when everybody's getting paid more and every company is being worth more because people are putting a lot of that money into the stock market, which causes it to raise up stocks. Stocks are just like any other product, supply and demand. As people are buying them and less people are selling them, the price of those shares are going to go up. And across the board, the Dow Jones is like an industrial average of a bunch of companies.
If they're screaming inflation, then apparently they're trying to...
It's a natural thing, though. So if I'm selling a product, let's say I'm the president of a widget company or whatever,
okay,
and everybody's getting paid more, and my company's being worth more because people are buying my stock.
Right.
Why wouldn't I say, hey, I wonder if I could sell my widget for a little bit more?
Sure.
And then that happens across the board, and then everything goes up in price. And next thing you know, people that didn't quite do so well during that time period is going to start screaming that they can't afford anything. And so I don't know. I'm not trying to slam the brakes on, but it's something you should be a little bit concerned about, but whatever.
I don't know. I'm carefree about the whole damn thing. Capitalism will work its way out.
Right.
These people selling overpriced items, they'll be met with people not having the money to pay for to buy it. I don't know. I'm not worried about that yet. I do know that they've been talking about it. I'm not worried about that.
And there's something to be said about volume, too. You can make a lot more money selling things for cheap in volume than to just jack up the price and then your volume goes way down.
And you're talking about this, right? Manufacturing growing at the fastest pace in almost 20 years.
That's good. I mean, anytime you're producing stuff, you're growing the whole world, right?
Right. And not only that, but you're talking about inflation, but we're talking about a world market now versus 20, 30, 40. If this was 40 years ago, maybe I'd be a little bit nervous, but now at this day and age where you can buy, ship, and send anything around, there's a young lady out in England who loves to listen to Smith Radio and wanted one of our Covfefe cups. I worked out a deal with her because it's a little bit pricey to get a cup to England from America, but now you would make it happen. It was there within a few days. No big deal.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so we've got the world market. World market, things are different. If you're
like China produces the iPhone for the world. Everybody in the world, I think people in every single continent have iPhones, and they're being produced by China. So that's the world market you're talking about. Whereas in the past, maybe Chinese manufacturing facilities would only be producing for China or something like that. Or in America, like when GM was making cars back in the 30s and 40s, probably not very many of them were being shipped overseas. It was like they were selling to the American market.
Right, and now GM making their Buicks in China.
They're not even produced here anymore.
I'm going to tell you right now.
So when you buy a Buick, you're literally buying a Chinese car.
I'm a Ford guy. You folks know if you've ever followed my scopes, I have a Ford T-shirt I wear quite often.
I'm a whatever I can afford right now type of guy.
But and I've always had this disdain for Chrysler.
And you have merit. You have merit in your disdain.
They let me down, and Mopar Parts is no, it's just Mo money. Anyways.
Mo parts, mo money.
Mo money. So we've got Chrysler shifting gears. Maybe I'm not buying one, but maybe they've turned the corner, and Chevy may be the next Chrysler. And this was Mike Pence this week talking about Chrysler.
In fact, here in the Motor City, you might have heard, Fiat Chrysler is giving out $2,000 tax cuts bonuses to all of its workers, and they're going to move their entire production line from Mexico to Michigan and create 2,500 new good-paying jobs and invest another $1 billion. Let's hear it for Fiat Chrysler saying yes to America and yes to Michigan.
You got to tamper that down.
Well, actually, you're doing okay on the levels.
Those people got rowdy in there.
It sounded all distorted, but actually, this is behind the scenes here. But your level look okay. So I'm sure we didn't blow your ears out there. But yeah, that's good. We're moving from outside the United States to Michigan, which if you've seen, I'm assuming when he says Michigan, are we talking Detroit or somewhere else? Because Detroit is
looks like an old bomb shelter.
It looks like Europe after World War II.
Yeah, pretty much in rubbles.
Yeah, and well, it's because you need people there to maintain stuff like buildings, houses, and whatnot, and streets.
Right.
And when that doesn't happen because everybody moved out, it looks like a
war zone.
Not even a war zone. It almost looks like something out of a Stephen King novel or something. Where
I
watched, are growing up out of the middle of the street. That
I watched a documentary on Chernobyl.
Oh my gosh! You should have watched it with me. It's one of my favorite documentaries ever. Now there's a lot of them. There's a lot of Chernobyl documentaries.
Well, they drove around the city and they took a guy. There was a guy who's our age now, but was a youth back in the day when Chernobyl went Chernobyl, and they took him back for the first time in 20, 30 years to see his house.
He probably cried.
It was emotional. But everything, you could see everything was laid, nothing had been touched.
Nothing had been touched.
Get up, walk out, 20 years later.
So like right in the middle of the street, you might have a 3, 4, 5 foot high weed growing out of the middle of the street, which obviously would never happen if people actually lived there because as soon as a car drove by, it would snap that weed right off. But so it's very strange to see that kind of weird stuff. But
we're talking about Michigan. We're talking about Detroit.
Well, to be honest with you, the city around, I guess the city's called Chernobyl, or is that the actual plant? Whatever it was, looks very similar to Detroit now.
Yes.
So it's kind of scary. But you have these houses that, if it weren't for the neglect of not maintaining it because nobody's there, would be perfectly livable. And it's a shame because that's like a waste of labor that somebody put in to build this house.
Right.
So hopefully they're able to bring back some industry. I think it's going to be revitalized eventually because of this reason. Cities do well because of their access to resources.
Okay.
And Detroit is right on one of the Great Lakes, whichever one is. Was it Lake Erie? Whichever one. I think it's Lake Erie. And because of that, there's easy shipping in and out of there to all the other cities that are on that route. And so eventually somebody's going to come along, some big investor or maybe a group of investors is going to come along and say, man, why are we not investing here?
Fiat Chrysler.
And so, well, hopefully when he says Michigan, he's talking about Detroit. But if not, Michigan in general,
Not Dearborn.
Dearborn, Michigan.
Don't go to Dearborn, Michigan.
What happened to Dearborn?
Oh, it's little Saudi Arabia.
Oh, yeah, that's where they took all the refugees.
Little Muslim.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
there's nothing wrong. It's the issue is that we have people there that are not acclimated.
No assimilation whatsoever.
Right.
No.
That's the problem.
And so, we're talking about the greatness of America and how America is making a huge comeback, folks. We're talking about Donald Trump's government. We did mention a couple of things, and I mentioned this earlier. Trump Immigration Office removes the words "nation of immigrants" from the mission statement. This by CNN.
I agree with that.
So when you go to the article of CNN, they just blast all over Trump, and they're angry and upset and mad.
Yeah.
How could Trump do this to immigrants? He hates immigrants. Just on and on and on. Trump calls for an end of gun-free zones and arming qualified teachers. It's also by CNN.
So, I was just going to point out that, there's this, I think it was Ann Coulter who first pointed out, or maybe whoever did, that we're not necessarily a nation of immigrants because when we were founded, they would consider themselves settlers.
Settlers, okay.
And so I wanted to make sure that she was accurate because I'm a little bit of a wordsmith and I like to play semantics. I love it. Don't get into a battle of semantics with me because you're going to lose. I'm just telling you right now. So they have a definition of immigrant as a person who comes to live permanently in a foreign country. Well, it wasn't a foreign country when our founders and everybody who lived here at the time
It wasn't a country at all.
Right. It was not a country, so it would be improper to say that we are a nation of immigrants. I would say we are a nation of settlers.
They also say synonyms, though, a settler. So they're playing a little bit of... I think they're playing semantics with that. I don't think it should say settler.
Well, let's see. Settler. Let's see what we got here. A person who settles in an area typically with one or few previous inhabitants. So we're settlers.
Right.
I think that calling an immigrant a settler is
inappropriate.
Is not correct. It's
right.
just not factually correct. And now, I don't always buy into every single... You got libs. You got liberal professors whose job it is to make official changes to dictionaries.
Well, you got Periscope.
Yeah.
Made by immigrants.
Well, that's fine. You know what? I don't doubt that.
When you open up Periscope, it says proudly made by immigrants.
I have no problem with that. I would love to know when they say that, from which country to which country. Because I would not assume that Periscope was an American company. I wouldn't assume that.
No?
I would. I mean, look at all the stuff we're doing with cryptocurrencies. Almost none of it is American.
Right,
except for, like, I just found out, I was 100% convinced that Coinbase is not even American. I found out the other day when they were talking about taxes in some of the articles that it is actually a San Francisco-based company. I didn't know that because there's so many other cryptocurrency companies, so many, that are not even based in America at all. So I would never assume that any online company, whether it be Periscope or whether it be Coinbase or whatever it may be, I would never assume that it's an American company. So when they say that our company was made and created by immigrants, I'd be like, okay, what country are you from? Because it could be that maybe a bunch of immigrants from, I don't know, France to Iceland created a company in Iceland. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so, but what you're saying is, though, that since Periscope is an American company, that it would be immigrants to America.
Well, they're playing with it, and the liberals just trying to say, we're all immigrants. We're all immigrants.
What vanity they have to say that we were created by immigrants when there's people who use your product who aren't even from America.
Right.
Think about how hilariously...
Ignorant?
I don't know if ignorant's the word. It's so dumb for them to sit there and say, look at us. We were made by immigrants. And meanwhile, somebody who's using that app is like, I'm in Iceland. What the hell are they talking about? It's literal. I mean, don't people all over the world use Periscope?
I would think so, yeah.
So doesn't it seem silly for somebody who does not live in the company or in the country that Periscope is based?
They're pushing their agenda in all countries that every country should accept all immigrants everywhere, every day, all day.
All right. It just seems kind of silly.
George Soros' agenda.
Right.
Anyway, so
what if you work for Periscope and you never immigrated to America? You live there.
Say you're a Native American Indian.
Or a Native American settler. I don't know. My point is isn't that a slap in the face? Or what if you were denied employment at Periscope and you're an American citizen, born and raised in America, and you open up the app made by the company who denied you employment, who rejected your employment, and you don't know why. All you know is you have all these degrees in computer science and you have all this experience.
But you got no papers.
And you got rejected, and next thing you know, you open up the app and you see that it's a app proudly made by immigrants, and you're like, I wonder if that's why they didn't hire me, because I'm not an immigrant.
Yeah.
I feel like that there's some discrimination going on
lawsuit.
there. Yeah.
So, folks, we're talking about Donald Trump's economy. We're talking about America, making America great again, turning the corner, running as fast as we can away from socialism, communism, Democrats, the government, and we're talking about things that are going on in the past month or two in the government. Feds collect a record taxes in the first month under Trump's tax cuts. Runs surplus in January.
Okay.
But everybody was screaming, there won't be any money. Nobody's going to have any money for tax. You won't collect any taxes.
I don't know why people just don't stop making this fraudulent, fallacious argument that when you slash taxes big time, you're going to go broke. We're going to go bankrupt. We're going to run the deficit up. It doesn't make it. It's just not true.
Nope.
You know what? It's called a plea to ignorance, I think, where you're hoping that the person you're making the argument for, the audience, if you will,
right,
doesn't actually look and see whether or not what you're saying is true or not. And so they say, and the reason it works is because if you don't know any better, if you don't know that what they're saying is actually the opposite of what reality is, just the words themselves sound absolutely perfectly logical. Doesn't it sound logical to you that if I cut how much money I take in, that I'm going to end up with less money? That seems totally 100% practical and logical. And that's what they're hoping that everybody thinks.
Well, if you look at it in the sense, if I don't work 40 hours a week, if I work 30 hours a week, I'll have less money.
Right.
Okay, but that's not. We're talking about taxes.
Right, and they're
completely
hoping
different.
They're hoping that you don't understand the. Think of it this way: instead of thinking about how many hours you work, think of it this way: I'm the president and owner of the widget factory.
Okay.
And let's say I decide to cut the price of my widget from 5 cents a widget to 4 cents a widget.
You won't make any money. You're going to lose money.
That's like a 20% cut.
Oh, man, you're going to lose money.
You're going to have of my widget.
You're going to have to fold up shop. You're going away.
But everybody would know, just by not even thinking that hard about it, without thinking that long about it, that isn't it possible, isn't it obviously going to happen that my widget, now 20% less in cost than it was before, is going to have an increase in sales and volume.
Especially if you put on there as seen on TV. Don't they sell? I mean, that's all they do is widgets, right?
No, a widget is a fictional. By the way, I saw Back to School this week.
Oh, no way.
Remember the economics teacher created a fictional factory, a fictional company that sold widgets.
Yeah.
And, of course, Rodney Dangerfield said, well, what's a widget? And he said, it doesn't matter what a widget is. It's a fictional product. And so that's how that went down. So anyway, so widget is a fictional product. But if I sell it for 20% less, whether or not it's made on TV or advertised on TV or not, you certainly will see an uptick in the amount of product being sold. If you increase its sales by more than 20%, then you actually earned more money by cutting the cost of the product.
Right.
So that's how that works. And same thing with taxes. In taxes, if I were to cut the amount of money I'm taking from businesses, then those businesses would earn more money, could earn more money by increasing the amount of product they sell, and in a bigger picture, earn the government more money because more stuff is being made, more money's being paid in the form of whatever. So you actually have the.
I had the footage.
Oh my goodness.
The footage.
Okay.
This is a movie from the 80s. This is where life was good because we could make fun of Democrats, but apparently we can't do that anymore.
We've got a lot to cover, and time is short.
There might be some bad words in this.
There are two kinds of people in business today. the quick and the dead. So rather than waste your time this semester with a lot of useless theories, we're going to jump right in with both feet and create a fictional company from the ground up. We'll construct our physical plant. We'll set up an efficient administrative and executive structure. Then we'll manufacture our product and market it. I think you'll find it very interesting and a lot of fun. So let's start by looking at construction costs of our new factory.
What's the product?
That is immaterial for the purposes of our discussion here.
Immaterial.
But if it makes you happy, let's say we're making tape recorders.
Tape recorders? Are you kidding? The Japs will kill us on a labor course.
Okay, fine. Then let's just say they're widgets.
What's a widget?
It's a fictional product. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Tell that to the bank, you know.
To the bank trying to get a loan.
On the board, you will see a cost analysis for construction of a 30,000 square foot facility, which will encompass both factory and office space, and is fully serviced by all utilities, a railroad spur line, and a 4-bay shipping dock.
Hold it. Why build? Hey, you're better off leasing at $1.25, $1.50 a square foot. Take your down payment and put it into CDs, or something else you can roll over every couple of months.
Thank you, Mr. Mellon. But we'll be concentrating on finance a little later in the term. For the time being, let's just concentrate on the construction figures, shall we? You will see the final bottom line requires the factoring in of not just the material and construction costs, but also the architect's fees and the costs of land servicing.
Oh, you left out a bunch of stuff.
Oh, really? Like what, for instance?
Well, first of all, you're going to have to grease the local politicians for the sudden zoning problems that always come up. Then there's the kickbacks to the carpenters. And if you plan on using any
people are
cement,
taking notes.
I'm sure the teams would like to have a little chat with you, and that'll cost you. Oh, and don't forget a little something for the building inspectors. Then there's a long-term cost, such as waste disposal. I don't know if you're familiar with who runs that business, but I assure you it's not the Boy Scouts.
That'll be quite enough, Mr. Mellon. Maybe bribes and kickbacks and mafia payoffs are how you do business. But they are not part of the legitimate business world. And they're certainly not part of anything I'm teaching in this class. Do I make myself clear?
Sorry, just trying to help, that's all.
Now, notwithstanding Mr. Mellon's input, the next question for us is where to build our factory.
How about Fantasyland?
Got him.
That's the liberal mindset.
People. It's hard for me to even fathom that there was an era we grew up in. We grew up in that era where Democrats were losing the argument everywhere, and it's weird because now we have a more conservative. I believe that Trump is more conservative in a lot of aspects, especially economically, than Reagan was. And Reagan was the president at that time, and that was actually towards the end of his presidency. Right. So we had already had him for a while. And that's the thing, if we get Trump for 8 years, which I'm sure we will, towards the end, I think that people will have totally bought in. You're going to start seeing Hollywood movies that come out like that, where it's cool to be Republican and you're total square if you're this,
You think they'll come out with movies like this again?
Yes. Well, maybe you know what a zombie is. When a person dies and is buried, it seems there's certain voodoo priests who have the power to bring him back to life.
Oh, horrible.
It's worse than horrible because a zombie has no will of his own. You see them sometimes walking around blindly with dead eyes, following orders, not knowing what they do, not caring.
You mean like Democrats?
What movie was that? It seems like a zombie movie. They're talking about zombies.
Yeah, they're talking about zombies, man.
Oh, that was Bob Hope?
Yeah, that was Bob Hope. You didn't Bob Hope?
Oh, that's right. Bob Hope was always quick with the one-liners. I forgot about that. But anyway.
Yeah, so we're talking about Democrats losing and falling apart. We're talking about the economy, Trump's economy and the government. And we're also talking about the good things that are happening across America. And right now we're talking about Donald Trump's government. Trump signs a sweeping 2-year budget deal. People are a little bit upset about this because it was $400 billion. And the positive note on this, if you go to New York Post, they wrote about it, and they just slammed Trump up and down.
Which is weird, because New York Post, I always remember New York Times, they are the communist rag.
New York Slimes, New York Times.
Okay.
Right. You can keep that in your mind.
Well, and also New York Times is the much more famous one. It's the one that Rush Limbaugh would attribute to being the source material for news networks across the entire nation. So it's something easy to remember. It's just the most famous, whatever. New York Post, which would be the counterpart, has historically, as far as I know, has been much more Republican.
Right, but they slammed Trump about this bill that he signed it. He signed it was just too much. It's overbloated. It's gonna wreck everything. Everything's gonna be wrecked. Here's the deal: funded the military and literally revamping the military. Trump is a big, huge supporter of the military and making sure that they have all the tools that they need and upgrading buildings. I mean, even back in the 90s, there was a program that I was involved in the Air Force, in the machine shop world, where they combined the Marines, the Air Force, and the Army to learn machine shop. And so we all went to an Army post, Aberdeen Proving Grounds, Baltimore, Maryland.
And that was your class, your school?
It was the school that went to, yeah. What a giant hole. Oh, Lord. They put us up in, they gave us one of the buildings, one of their barracks, and on the first...
You were in Army barracks?
Like 3 different floors, and if you're on the first floor, you can see the water coming through the ceiling. And
I bet you that whole place just oozed mediocrity.
It was...
I'm so glad I went in the Marine Corps. I am so sorry for everybody listening who's
but I'm glad I got to see it firsthand. Okay. I got to see the Army firsthand, and it is a crying shame. And for those of you in the Army that complain about the Army, I now sympathize with you.
Okay, yeah. So now, with Trump there, it sounds like this stuff is going to be made whole again.
Right.
And make nice, and things will be working. And
nobody makes fun of the Army anymore.
Right. They just needed to have the right stuff.
To clean up.
Right. And it costs some money, and it sounds like Trump's going to make that happen.
Right.
Which is good. Now, we had a shoestring budget, but we were beat into submission and made to fix all this stuff ourselves.
The Air Force has the largest budget.
Yeah, you guys were like... Your streets were paved in gold.
We didn't come around until 1949, though. So that's why we're the newest 1949, and you know, got to dump all the money in the aircraft and the rockets and the
only thing that got better funding than you guys in the maybe 60s would be NASA. Yeah. NASA in the 60s got the whole world's budget, basically.
Right. Isn't the Air Force somewhat connected with NASA somehow?
Well, it's interesting you say that. I think a lot of the astronauts were test pilots in the Air Force.
Yeah.
And so I think there might, I don't know if they were actually a branch of it.
Yeah.
I don't really think so. But they definitely hired a lot of people from the military for sure. But anyway.
Trump proposes biggest civil service change in 40 years. What's this all about? Hire the best and fire the worst. I wish you would have said fire the rest, but so this is by USA Today, and they absolutely lament up and down on Trump for calling out bad, mediocre employees.
I mean, here's the thing. Here's something that people have to realize, that this is the dynamic of the real world. When you start firing people because of their inability to perform the task, guess what happens? People who you would think, oh my gosh, this guy's so fired, are suddenly going to improve on their work ethic and their quality and their all that stuff. And that's how it works. It's not like you say, well, gosh, this group of people in the top 10%, let's give them raises, and that's fine. But you just automatically assume that this bottom 10% are going to be homeless or something, and you're really screwing them over. No, you are going to use the stick. There's the carrot and the stick. It's the stick on these people, and they're going to get better.
And the whole ideology goes hand in hand with tax cuts. I'm serious. Just because you cut the workforce of bad people does not mean you're going to get less production.
Okay.
Look at the story about your dad. They literally fired all the union employees and said, if you want to come across the line and work non-union, you can keep your job. Otherwise, you're never coming back.
And not very many people did it, but some people did do it.
And one of the union guys asked your dad, I bet you guys are falling apart in there, huh?
Oh, that's hilarious.
No!
All the salary workers had to actually do the work of the union, and their production went through the roof. They have these metrics that tell you how the performance. It's kind of like they call it a dashboard for a reason. It literally has markers as to the speed of production and all these different metrics that you can look at like a dashboard, and they all went through the roof when all of the production had to be performed by the salary employees who they weren't allowed to. When you work in a union environment, you're not allowed to touch anything. No. You guys would be shocked. If you've never worked in a union environment, you'd be shocked at some of the stuff that you have to do. Like, for instance, if there's a wrench on the table and somebody is outside of the reach of it, they can't quite reach it. It's like a foot away from their hand.
Let me get that for you, Kerry. I know I do electric around here, but here, let me here. Here's your Kool-Aid.
No, the fact that you touched it, I would have to tell you, no. You got to put it right back to exactly where you were, and then I have to get up and get it. There you go.
Okay.
But you can't move a tool to help somebody out or to hurt somebody or anything.
No names involved, but I worked in a shop that
I'll call out GE right now. I don't care.
Well, I mean, I'm throwing GE under the bus, but I've known more people who have been laid off from GE than I've ever known people that currently work for them.
Probably.
And so in the machine shop world, I worked with a handful of guys. I did not know that they were GE employees, but I would talk behind their back, and we would jokingly say, man, he's such a lazy, but look how he walks, man. He walks slow. He slouched down. And then the other guy is, he always had his coat with him because he used it for a pillow. He would doze off. And so I'd make fun of these guys. Lo and behold, after a while, I found out they were all former laid off GE employees.
Right.
And I talked to one of them, and he said, yeah, if anybody ever walked up to him that was not, he had one boss. If anybody walked up and said anything to him about anything, hey, can you help over here? Can you do this? Can you do that? He said, I would literally, because I could, tell them to go to hell.
Right. You could do that. You can abuse your boss and all that. They have all kinds of really weird rules, too, that I could see the merit behind them, but it makes things unnecessarily difficult. Like, for instance, you're only allowed to have one boss, and it doesn't matter what level or rank. You usually don't use the word rank, but being a military personnel, that's the easiest way for me to understand it. Doesn't matter what rank anybody else is, they can't tell you to do anything because you're not their one boss. So your boss's boss comes up to you and says, hey, I need this to be moved over here. I need this to be shipped somewhere. I need this to be assembled. They can tell them to go F themselves.
You need to go tell my boss. Well, I'm your boss.
Your
boss works for me.
Right.
I know, but I don't work for you.
Right. It's crazy. That's like one of the rules. There's so much of that crazy stuff. So I got around it by basically being 20 years old and saying, treating everybody like they were my grandparents and trying to get them to view me as a grandchild.
Right.
And it really helped me out because I always made myself look like I really needed somebody's help. I'm a lost puppy and I need somebody to take me by the hand and help me. And that just towed on the heartstrings of these older men and women who were like, oh, you remind me of my grandson. And then they would do stuff for me. So that's how I pulled it off.
That's hysterical. And my first job was working at Kroger's. And I put in for having the weekend, like a Friday off, because I was going to take my girlfriend to the Pink Floyd laser light show.
Okay.
And so I put in weeks in advance and come up a Thursday. The schedule had me crossed out. And I said, what? Well, I put the weeks in it. Oh, no. Somebody with more seniority requested that day off yesterday.
Okay.
I said, but I requested 2 weeks ago.
Right.
No, they got more seniority.
Wow.
So I'm like, all right, screw y'all. I'm going home. So I went into work. I clocked in. It was like a 6-hour shift. I worked 2 hours from 4 to 6.
Yeah.
I clocked out. I just left.
Okay.
Picked up my girlfriend, saw the show, took her home.
Did that work, though?
Took her home.
Yeah.
and then I went back at like 11:30 at night.
Okay.
Clocked back in, worked another 3 or 4 hours, and then clocked out and went home. Union boss and everybody, they were livid. They were screaming and yelling, and the management.
Were you union?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I'm there with the union boss in front of the management, and they're talking about firing me and this and that. And the union boss is like, hey, he worked his hours.
He came in when he's supposed to come in, and he left when he was supposed to leave. But what he did in between there, I don't know.
He worked his hours. He actually he clocked out really late at night.
He worked long.
Yeah,
he might have to get time and a half. Man, they had it worked out.
Nothing. No write-up. No.
That's hilarious. So the union worked for you. It protected you.
Which was awful. To teach a 17-year-old kid that is just...
Oh, you were only 17? Yes. Oh, my gosh.
It was... I worked there for 2 years.
Only Brian has the gall to say, I can't have that day off. Well, we'll see about that.
I worked there for 2 years and had a 20-year attitude.
That's interesting. You were a prodigy.
Yeah.
Brian was or a savant, one of the two.
Something.
It's like Rain Man up in there. He's the Rain Man of labor.
Oh my goodness! It was detrimental to me because I had to get my mind right. I had to realize that that's not the real world. Real world, and so I started my own business. And man,
that's when you
wake up.
That's 16-hour days right there.
Yeah, no, for real.
That's
so whenever
true.
you hear about X amount of businesses fail, new businesses fail, it's not because they fail because they just failed. They failed because a 40-hour-a-week employee said, I can do this.
I'm going to start my own business. And then they think they can go home and be completely mentally detached from their business during off hours, and that's never the case.
I was talking to a contractor yesterday. He works for a company that owns 10,000 buildings, and his job is to bring subcontractors in to fix the buildings. And we just got to go on talking because I was in that type of work. And he said, it's not that subcontractors, they are the guys who quit their job and said, I can do this, I can work on my own. They're the guys who can't take they can't take orders. Those are the guys who cannot take orders that quit and start their own the pool cleaning service or the concrete service.
Yeah.
Not all of them.
Right.
But every once in a while you get some good ones and they get picked up along the way and maybe they do make something out of it. But they're like 60, 70-hour work week. It's their entire life. Most of the ones that fail, they couldn't take orders. They can't even. They don't have personal discipline themselves.
We mean they failed their own business.
Right.
I'm actually surprised because that's one of the main reasons I went into business is because I could never get along. I could never get along with the bosses because I felt like they were idiots. But I accepted the fact that when I'm done working 8 hours, I'm going to spend the next 4 hours putting together proposals, going out and visiting customers, and all that kind of stuff. So
it wasn't a 40-hour work week for you.
No,
it was a lifestyle.
Pretty much, if you're not sleeping, you're working. And also, here's another thing that you have to go into business yourself to really understand this. If you don't like your boss and you go out and work on for yourself, now you don't have one boss. You have hundreds or sometimes even thousands of bosses.
That was a wake-up call to me.
But there's a good news about it, though. The good news is when you get fired when you own your own business, that's one of hundreds of bosses that fired you. So only one. So you only lost 1% of 100% of your business.
I begged a woman to fire me one time.
Well, sometimes you beg.
Out of this, just fire me already.
It's literally getting hired and fired or quitting. Or when you finish the job, it's like you move on and you quit. That's it. You quit the job. You worked for a couple of days, maybe a week, or maybe even a couple hours. Right. Job's over, and it's like going out and getting a new job. But you could get fired. You could. Every single proposal is a job interview. Every one. Imagine going on a job interview 3 times a week for years. That's literally what it's like. But anyway.
Right. So to wrap up Donald Trump's government, Trump signs order to keep Guantanamo Bay open forever.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if it's forever, but he signed an executive order saying Guantanamo Bay will be open, and hopefully, if the Fab Five that Obama let out, hopefully they're either dead or will wind up back in Guantanamo Bay.
Who knows?
And speaking about that, The U.S. kills 150 ISIS terrorists in Syria airstrike during the government shutdown. Did you guys hear about that?
Yeah, if you haven't been in the military and not subject to this kind of craziness that goes on in the government, what you find out is that the military is never really shut down.
No,
never.
And I during the 90s when they did the government shutdown with Clinton,
yeah,
we all got paid.
Yeah.
I never not missed a paycheck.
Well, they'll tell you that you get back if you don't get paid and you miss a whole paycheck, the military always gets back paid. Always gets back paid. So let's say they shut down for 2 weeks and you get paid every 2 weeks. The following week or somewhere down the line, you'll get paid for that whole 2 weeks that you didn't get paid for. So all it is kind of deferring your pay for a while, and that could be really problematic for somebody with a family and bills and all that kind of stuff.
If you're young in the military, you might not be very responsible with money because you're young. I know. I live paycheck to paycheck.
90% of my shop lives paycheck to paycheck. In fact, we got paid every 2 weeks. It was usually 10 days straight of them complaining about being broke. 10 days.
And what was wretched about the Air Force in Italy is that I could go on base and write a check to the base for cash.
Okay.
And it wouldn't clear the States 7 to 9 days.
So you were literally writing a bounce check.
And then
and hoping that it catches up.
Right. Well, you could write it, and if you're 8 days out, you don't want that, but you need the money. So you write it for 8 days out, and then in 4 days you write another one, and you just put that cash in the bank to cover.
See, you were in.
I heard people do that. I heard.
Oh, you not you. It was other
No,
people. It was your friend. I had a friend. that did.
That's floating a check. Floating a check. That got to work.
Can you post date it?
Yeah, post date it. No, they wouldn't take it. You got to write it for that date.
Well,
but they don't do that anymore. Checks. Who writes a check? Not anymore.
We still do.
So, Department of Justice, DOJ to investigate FBI's mishandling of Trump dossier. This by Fox News. Jeff Sessions is actually pushing more and more. Attorney Jeff Sessions confirmed Sunday that the Department of Justice plans to thoroughly investigate FBI's mishandling of the infamous. It's so famous. It's so famous.
How do you not have that pulled up?
That it's infamous. Because I'm reading it I didn't know they put the word infamous in there. I didn't even. This is the first time I'm seeing the word infamous. Because I would have gotten triggered.
I just love your show prep.
But don't ask me. I'm just Mr. Producer.
I know. I should have had it all plugged up, ready to play.
Right. Mishandling of the infamous. It's so infamous. It's infamous. Trump dossier in obtaining a FISA warrant against Trump campaign. Adding. Oh.
What?
Oh, broadcast error. Connection closed by server. Wow. How about them apples? All right, folks. Well, we're still live on the audio portion of this. I just don't. I don't think we're live on Periscope anymore. We don't have a outro, intro, something or other. Anyways, talking about making America great again, folks.
So we're good on Spreaker. So those of you listening on Spreaker, you have bonus time. That's weird. We're like a couple minutes away from the thing, and the broadcast was interrupted. That's weird.
Yeah, it said just shut down.
Well, we're good on Spreaker, so.
Yep. Okay, so, and we're at the last few minutes anyway, so as soon as we started talking about Jeff Sessions and Russia collusion and FBI being investigated, we can shut down on Periscope?
Right. Well, you did put hashtag Oscars in the...
I did.
And I'll tell you what, you'll get some trolls when that happens.
Okay. So Jeff Sessions announces new cybersecurity task force. The arrest of undocumented immigrants without criminal records. Okay, so illegals in America that don't have a criminal record other than the fact that they jumped the border, and that's illegal, but no other criminal records. Deportation skyrocketed in 2017 under Trump. Did you hear that?
Yeah. Deportation skyrocketed
under Donald Trump of illegals that are not criminals.
Interesting. So they're actually deporting people who are otherwise clean record, but they're illegal.
Yeah, the only crime they committed was jumping the border. Right. Justice Department to investigate McCabe's handling I'm telling you, folks, Jeff Sessions is doing things on the background. FBI launches, Justice Department investigate McCabe. McCabe was the one that said that I'm going to burn the FBI, meaning he's going to throw everybody in the bus. McCabe was the one that was ousted because his wife received all the money from the Clintons. And McCabe was on the board for the email scandal to let Clinton go. So the investigation, the Justice Department is going to investigate McCabe's handling of the Clinton email probe. FBI launches new Clinton Foundation investigation. Prosecutors ask FBI agents for information on Uranium One deal. Sessions orders Department of Justice review after report Obama gave Hezbollah a pass. We talked about that too. And finally, arrest of MS-13 gang members and associates up 83% under Donald Trump. I'm telling you, talk about making America great again. We're talking about cleaning this place up.
Yeah,
Woo!
I just can't wait till we can get rid of all the people that are blatantly trying to undermine this whole process of making America great again. And it'll happen through attrition. It's weird. Like I wasn't old enough to have followed this in real time during the 80s under Reagan.
Right.
But there's definitely some similarities.
Okay.
But what it really boils down to is that we're in the early stages, and over time we're going to lose more and more of the people that are obstructing this, and eventually in the later stages of this Trump administration, 8 years in,
right.
7 years in, it's going to be like, whatever happened to that? And America will be great.
Mark my words. America will be great again. It's just one after another, folks. There's a lot of things going on right now in America, and things are heading in the right direction with the likes I haven't seen in years. I don't remember the last time that things did this well, and I'm thoroughly excited. So for that, on that note, woo! I'm still beside myself on
Periscope?
On shutting us down on Periscope.
That's
Yeah.
weird that we got that far in, and then it suddenly we're almost done.
Yeah.
The trolls were late. Ha ha! All y'all trolls on Twitter, you're late.
Share us with your friends and families, folks, everywhere. We're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. I don't know. It's all over the place.
We're all over the place for you.
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable. It's without fathom.